Before the Great Flood, long before the rise of written history and the first civilizations, there were giants of stone. Towering megalithic structures, crafted with unimaginable precision, were erected by ancient hands whose knowledge of the Earth's secrets has been lost to time. Who were these builders? How did they manage to create these colossal monuments using only rudimentary tools? And why do they seem to echo a forgotten chapter in human history, one that has remained hidden beneath the sands of time? All around the world, we find remnants of these ancient wonders, massive stone circles, enigmatic tombs, and monolithic pillars that defy logic and explanation. From the remote highlands of Armenia to the deserts of Egypt, the ruins speak of a civilization far older than anything we've been taught. Were they warning us of something, or were they trying to preserve knowledge for future generations? Knowledge that might explain the mysterious forces that shaped our world. In this journey, we'll uncover the truth behind these ancient monuments, exploring the untold story of the lost builders, those who came before the flood. So, sit back, relax, and let's dive into the enigma that has baffled humanity for millennia, one that stretches the boundaries of history and time itself. We find ourselves on the rugged island of Sardinia, in the heart of the Mediterranean. Here, hidden among the rolling hills and lush landscapes, lie the giants' graves, a series of megalithic structures that have captivated historians, archaeologists, and curious minds for centuries. Their sheer scale and mystery invite us to ponder the lost world of their builders, people whose identities and purpose have remained largely obscured. The giants' graves, or tombs of the giants, are found in several locations across Sardinia, with the most famous being in the region of Gallura, in the northern part of the island. These ancient burial sites are composed of stone tombs, some of which measure over 30 feet in length, constructed from massive slabs of granite, and often enclosed within large stone enclosures. Their name, Giants' Graves, evokes the idea of monumental figures, beings of great stature, perhaps even giants in a mythical sense. But who were the people who built these graves, and why did they construct such immense structures? At first glance, the graves appear to be relatively simple burial sites, reminders of ancient funeral practices. Yet, the more we examine them, the more we realize that there is far more to these structures than meets the eye. The layout of the graves themselves is what truly sets them apart. Each one is typically elongated, shaped like a long corridor or a trapezoid, and the larger tombs are often surrounded by towering stone slabs arranged in a kind of perimeter wall. Some tombs also feature intricate carvings and markings, the meaning of which remains elusive. What is most striking, however, is the sense of purpose these tombs convey, purpose that goes far beyond mere burial. These graves are carefully oriented with respect to the landscape, and in some cases to the movement of the sun or stars. Could these sites have had astronomical significance, like the ancient tombs of Ireland? Were they perhaps aligned with the stars, tracking celestial bodies or marking the seasons in ways that only the builders understood? The scale and precision of these structures suggest that the people who constructed them were highly organized, with knowledge of engineering, astronomy, and possibly even construction techniques lost to us. But who were they? And why did they choose such a dramatic and elaborate means of interment? Historical records tell us that the Newgrange civilization, which flourished on Sardinia between the Bronze Age and Iron Age, is credited with building these tombs. The Newgranges were a mysterious people whose cultural practices, technologies, and even their very origins remain the subject of intense scholarly debate. While some believe they were local to the island, others suggest that they may have arrived from somewhere else, perhaps even as part of a wider Mediterranean or Near Eastern migration. Evidence of their existence can be found throughout Sardinia in the form of the nuraghe, ancient stone towers that are scattered across the island, some of which still stand today. But the giants' graves present a peculiar puzzle. The scale of the graves and their construction techniques suggest a highly advanced society, possibly with knowledge that was far more sophisticated than that of their contemporaries. Some of the stone slabs that make up the tombs weigh several tons, yet they were transported and placed with remarkable precision, an impressive feat for a culture that left no written records behind. As with many megalithic sites, the origins and purpose of these tombs are steeped in mystery. Some scholars argue that they were simply grand burial monuments for elite or noble families, while others suggest that they may have been intended for ritual purposes, perhaps linked to ancestor worship or spiritual practices that honored the dead. The location of the tombs, on hillsides or near significant landmarks, could indicate that they were seen as sacred spaces, where the living could connect with the spirits of their ancestors, or perhaps with the gods. But the most intriguing theory is that these tombs might represent the remnants of a much older culture, one that predated the known civilizations of the Mediterranean. The very nature of these tombs, their monumental scale, and their strange markings have led some to speculate that they might be the work of a lost civilization, one that predates even the earliest known cultures of Mesopotamia, Egypt, and the Aegean. Could the giants' graves be evidence of a pre-flood civilization, a people whose knowledge and achievements were wiped out by a great catastrophe, one so catastrophic that their legacy was lost to history? This idea, while speculative, is not without merit. Across the world, from the Americas to Europe, there are other examples of ancient megalithic structures, pyramids, stone circles, and temples that seem to echo similar themes of cosmic alignment and a deep understanding of the natural world. Could it be that these scattered remnants, of which the giants' graves are a part, represent a singular, widespread culture that once spanned continents but was erased in a cataclysmic event? And yet, the question remains, if this lost civilization truly existed, where are its other remains? Could it be possible that what we see today in places like Sardinia, Egypt, and South America are only fragments of a once thriving world, one that was destroyed by forces beyond our comprehension? Or are we looking at the remnants of a culture that was simply ahead of its time, whose knowledge of the heavens, the earth, and stone was so advanced that we are still struggling to grasp it? In the end, the giants' graves of Sardinia remain as elusive and enigmatic as ever. While the Nuragic civilization undoubtedly played a role in their creation, the true purpose and origins of these ancient structures continue to defy explanation. Are we seeing the remains of an ancient society whose practices and beliefs have been erased by time? Or are we looking at something even older, an artifact of a civilization that once stretched across the globe, leaving behind only traces of its existence? Perhaps the answer lies somewhere beneath the stones themselves, waiting, as all mysteries do, to be uncovered in time. As we journey further into the heart of ancient mysteries, we turn our attention to a secluded archipelago where the wild winds of the Atlantic meet the jagged cliffs of volcanic rock. The Canary Islands, a group of islands off the northwest coast of Africa, have long been shrouded in intrigue, their history wrapped in layers of myth, mystery, and forgotten knowledge. Among the rugged landscapes and pristine beaches, hidden in plain sight, stand enigmatic stone structures that defy conventional understanding, ancient monuments whose builders remain a riddle. These stone structures, found scattered across several of the islands, include megalithic temples, stone circles, and burial chambers, many of which are remarkably similar to other megalithic sites found across Europe, such as Stonehenge or the giants' graves of Sardinia. Yet, unlike the well-documented civilizations of the Mediterranean, the Canary Islands' ancient builders remain largely anonymous. Little is known about the people who erected these monuments, and even less about the culture and technology they employed. The only certainty is that these stones have withstood centuries of erosion, storms, and time itself. One of the most famous of these structures is found on the island of Gran Canaria, at a site known as La Cueva Pintada, the Painted Cave. Here, ancient carvings adorn the walls of a deep volcanic cave, and nearby, large stone platforms and circular formations sit poised on the landscape, facing the horizon. These formations have been interpreted as ceremonial centers, perhaps linked to astronomical observations, as many align with key points on the horizon where the sun rises and sets. Were these sites built for the living, to mark the passage of seasons and celestial events? Or were they places of deep spiritual significance, meant to honor gods, ancestors, or unseen forces that shape the world? While the Guanches, the indigenous people of the Canary Islands, are often credited with these constructions, the true origin of the stone structures remains elusive. The Guanches are believed to have arrived on the islands at least 2,000 years ago, but historical accounts suggest that the megalithic building tradition may have predated them. Some even speculate that these early settlers were influenced by other, even older cultures, possibly those from North Africa, the Mediterranean, or even further afield. Could it be that these mysterious builders were connected to an even older civilization, one that spanned across seas, leaving behind stone markers of a forgotten world? At the heart of this mystery are the ancient temple sites that dot the islands. One of the most remarkable is the site known as Temple of Balat on La Gomera. This site, partially excavated and still veiled in mystery, features a series of massive stone blocks arranged in a way that suggests both ritual and astronomical purpose. The alignment of the stones seems too precise to be mere coincidence. Are these markers of time, of celestial cycles, or something else entirely? One of the most compelling features of these sites is their use of volcanic rock, a material that, while abundant on the islands, requires immense skill and precision to shape and move. Some stones weigh several tons, yet no advanced tools have been found that could explain how the builders managed to transport and position them with such exactitude. How did these people, without the wheel, without advanced engineering knowledge, move such massive stones? And why did they choose this difficult medium when other materials might have been more readily available? As we move beyond the mainstream understanding, we enter the realm of more speculative theories. Some suggest that these megalithic structures could have been built by a much older civilization, perhaps even one that predated the Great Flood, a cataclysmic event that, according to many ancient traditions, marked the end of an advanced civilization and the beginning of a new era. Could these stone structures be the remnants of a culture lost to time, whose wisdom and knowledge were preserved in the very stones they left behind? Consider, for a moment, the idea that these structures were not simply markers of celestial events, but repositories of knowledge, symbols of a society that had mapped the heavens with precision, understood the forces of nature, and built in harmony with the earth itself. Could the builders of the Canary Islands megaliths have been working with ancient technologies that were lost or destroyed in the aftermath of a global catastrophe? Could these structures be part of a much larger worldwide network of megalithic monuments designed to preserve knowledge or to mark a hidden path to something greater? Some have pointed to the alignments of these structures with the rising and setting sun, and even to the moon's cycles, as evidence of a profound understanding of astronomy. At Monte Tirma, on the island of Gran Canaria, a series of stone circles and altars have been found in alignment with the solstices, pointing to an awareness of time that stretches beyond mere seasonal change. Could these people have been studying the heavens in ways that predated the earliest known astronomical traditions in the Mediterranean? Or perhaps they were influenced by a tradition passed down from a long-lost civilization whose legacy remains hidden beneath layers of time and dust. It's also worth considering the symbolic meanings embedded in the shapes and forms of these structures. Much like the megalithic sites of Europe, The stone circles and temples of the Canary Islands contain designs that seem to carry meanings beyond their practical uses. The spirals and interlocking patterns etched into the stones of certain sites suggest a complex belief system, possibly linked to concepts of life, death, and the afterlife. Could these markings represent a form of communication, a language encoded in stone? Or were they spiritual symbols meant to connect the earth with the heavens, the mortal world with the divine? While these questions remain speculative, they are not without merit. Across the world, we see similar patterns in the construction of megalithic structures. From the pyramids of Egypt to the stone circles of England, and from the ruins of Machu Picchu to the lost cities of the ancient Near East, these sites share common features: alignments with celestial bodies, intricate carvings, and an unmistakable sense of awe-inspiring purpose. Could the Canary Islands' stone structures be part of this broader phenomenon? Could they be another fragment of a much larger, much older civilization whose legacy has been erased by time? As we reflect on these questions, we are left with the undeniable sense that the true purpose of these structures remains hidden. Were they simply ceremonial or ritualistic? Or were they part of a far grander vision, one that stretched across continents, linking distant cultures through a shared understanding of the cosmos and the forces that govern life and death? The more we look, the more questions arise. And perhaps that is the true allure of the megalithic structures of the Canary Islands, their ability to provoke wonder, to stir the imagination, and to remind us that, no matter how much we uncover, there is still so much more left to discover. Could the answers lie buried beneath the volcanic rocks, waiting for the right moment, the right discovery to unlock their secrets? For now, the stones remain silent, standing as they have for centuries, holding within them the echoes of a distant past and the promise of a mystery still unsolved. Deep within the arid landscape of Egypt's western Nile Delta, where the desert's edge meets the fertile floodplains, there stands a monument that defies easy categorization. Shunet el-Zebib, a massive and ancient structure, rises quietly from the earth, its mud brick walls weathered by the centuries. Unlike the more famous pyramids of Giza or the majestic temples of Luxor, Shunet el-Zebib is not a familiar name to most, yet its sheer scale and mysterious purpose have captured the imaginations of archaeologists and historians alike. What could this massive rectangular structure, built of simple mud brick, have been? Why does it remain relatively obscure, its secrets hidden from the world for so long? And what is its connection, if any, to the greater tapestry of ancient Egyptian history? Shunet el-Zebib lies just outside of Abydos, one of Egypt's most sacred cities, revered as the final resting place of many pharaohs and gods. Abydos itself, with its rich history dating back to the pre-dynastic period, is steeped in myth and legend. In the shadow of this ancient center, Shunet el-Zebib stands as a reminder of an era long past, but whose true purpose still eludes understanding. The structure's name, Shunet el-Zebib, translates roughly to the granary of the grapes, a curious name that hints at the building's functional past. Yet, the more one looks at the monument, the more it seems to suggest something far grander. This is not simply a storage facility, nor does it appear to be an ordinary building. In fact, many of the questions surrounding its design and purpose have led to a range of theories that extend beyond the conventional understanding of early dynastic Egypt. Shunet el-Zebib's architecture is imposing. The building, constructed from mud brick, is not a simple enclosure or structure designed for storage. It's massive, larger than many of the nearby temples and tombs. It has walls that rise almost 7 meters high, and its layout is distinctive, with an almost fortress-like feel. There is a sense of permanence in the structure, a suggestion that this place was meant for something more than just a temporary function. The site is laid out in a rectangle, with a large central courtyard surrounded by walls that contain a series of smaller chambers and passages whose exact purpose remains unclear. The most widely accepted theory is that Shunet el-Zebib was a royal tomb, a monumental burial structure built during the reign of the Second Dynasty of Egypt. Some scholars have even gone so far as to speculate that it could have been the burial place of a king or high-ranking official, a claim that has never been conclusively proven. Indeed, the massive scale of the structure seems to support this hypothesis. The grandeur of the walls and the layout of the rooms suggest that it was meant to honor someone of great significance, someone whose legacy was to be immortalized in a structure that would survive for millennia. The design of the building itself bears similarities to other known royal tombs from the early dynastic period, such as the mastabas, rectangular, flat-roofed tombs common during this time. Yet, the structure of Shunet el-Zebib diverges from the standard mastaba design in several key aspects, particularly in its sheer size and the way its walls are constructed. What was it that set this building apart from other tombs of the period? Could it have been a ritual structure, built for ceremonial purposes rather than for a specific burial? Its size and prominence suggest it may have played a significant role in the religious or political life of the time. Egypt's rulers were closely connected to the divine, and their tombs were often symbolic of their journey into the afterlife. Was Shunet el-Zebib perhaps a space for royal rituals, or a site where the pharaoh's journey to the afterlife was enacted? Some theories go even further, suggesting that Shunet el-Zebib could have been a temple, a place of worship, or even an astronomical observatory built to align with the celestial bodies. The idea that this structure could have had an astronomical or cosmic function is intriguing, especially when one considers the sophisticated knowledge of the heavens that the ancient Egyptians possessed. The alignment of many of their monuments with specific stars and constellations is well documented, and it's possible that Shunet el-Zebib served a similar purpose, marking an important connection between the heavens and the earth. However, these speculations remain just that, speculation. Without direct evidence, we are left to wonder about the true nature of this enigmatic structure. Did the Egyptians possess knowledge of the cosmos far beyond what we understand today? Or is it possible that Shunet el-Zebib was simply an elaborate tomb, nothing more than a testament to the power and authority of an ancient ruler? It is a question that has yet to be definitively answered. One of the most striking features of Shunet el-Zebib is its sheer scale, which contrasts with the relatively modest nature of other structures from the same period. Why was such a large building constructed in an area that seemed, at the time, to be relatively remote? Could there be an underlying reason for its construction? Something that tied it not only to the local landscape, but to a greater geographical or spiritual context. Some researchers have posited that this structure was part of a larger architectural or cultural trend, one that sought to merge the religious, political, and astronomical aspects of Egyptian life into a single monumental complex. As Egypt's religious beliefs and political power began to solidify during the early dynastic period, it's possible that structures like Shunet el-Zebib were part of a broader movement to assert control over both the natural and divine worlds. Could it have also been a ritual center designed to connect the mortal and immortal realms? The Second Dynasty, a time of great experimentation in both art and architecture, might have been a period of experimentation in spiritual practices as well. Did the creation of Shunet el-Zebib reflect a larger, more profound shift in how the Egyptians viewed the cosmos, death, and the afterlife? Perhaps the most puzzling element of Shunet el-Zebib is the mystery of its abandonment. Unlike many other grand structures from ancient Egypt, Shunet el-Zebib was left unfinished, its full purpose never realized. Why was it left behind? Did the construction of this massive building run into some sort of difficulty, perhaps even an interruption caused by a change in the royal succession or a shift in religious practices? Did the structure fail to live up to its intended purpose, or was it abandoned due to some unforeseen event? An environmental change, a shift in political power, or something else entirely? While the mainstream explanation points to a royal tomb, the sheer scale and intricacy of Shunet el-Zebib suggests that it might have had a much deeper role to play in the early development of Egyptian civilization. The fact that it was constructed during such a formative period in Egypt's history hints at the possibility that this monument was not only a reflection of the power of its rulers, but also a piece of a much larger cosmic puzzle. Could it be that the structure's abandonment was part of a larger, more mysterious historical event? What if Shunet el-Zebib was part of a lost phase of Egyptian history, a period that has been obscured by the sands of time and political upheaval? What could have been hidden within the walls of this structure? Ancient artifacts, sacred knowledge, or astronomical alignments that have yet to be discovered? In the absence of concrete answers, the enigma of Shunet el-Zebib only deepens. As we continue to study this ancient structure, we are left to wonder, what truths might still be waiting to be unearthed? What secrets lie hidden beneath the weathered mud brick, waiting for a keen eye to uncover them? And what does Shunet el-Zebib reveal about the lost connections between the earth and the cosmos, between the living and the divine? The mystery of Shunet el-Zebib remains unsolved, but perhaps, in time, the answers will come. Or perhaps, like so many other monuments of the past, it will continue to stand as a silent sentinel, guarding its secrets in the desert wind. As we leave behind the windswept shores of the Canary Islands and journey further into the heart of Africa, we encounter yet another layer of mystery that links ancient megalithic traditions across continents. Nestled deep within the vast expanse of the African Savannah, hidden beneath the endless horizon of golden grasses and dry earth, lies a series of stone circles that have remained largely overlooked by the wider world. These structures, quietly standing in the shadow of history, are as enigmatic as they are ancient, offering more questions than answers. The lost stone circles of the African Savannah, located primarily in countries like South Africa and Zimbabwe, are remarkable not only for their sheer scale and intricacy, but also for their unusual placement in a region far removed from the better-known megalithic sites of Europe and the Mediterranean. Yet, like their European counterparts, these stone circles seem to have been built with purpose, precision, and an understanding of the natural world that is still beyond our full comprehension. One of the most well-known sites is the Great Zimbabwe Ruins, an ancient city whose stone circle forms a part of its intricate design. Built around the 11th century AD, these stone structures are part of an expansive complex of walls, enclosures, and towers, constructed without the use of mortar. The stones fit together so perfectly that the walls have stood for centuries, defying both time and weather. The Great Zimbabwe Site, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, is often seen as the center of a powerful medieval kingdom. Its iconic great enclosure and hill complex are considered some of the greatest achievements of African architecture. However, the stone circles found throughout the savannah do not begin and end with Great Zimbabwe. Across the region, other ancient structures, often less well known, hint at an even more ancient tradition. From the Limpopo Valley to the Highveld, megalithic circles of stones, ranging from small, modest rings to larger, more imposing structures, scatter the landscape like forgotten relics. These circles are often found in clusters, suggesting that they were part of a much larger network of sacred or ceremonial sites, but their exact purpose is still shrouded in mystery. As with many megalithic sites around the world, the most compelling aspect of these African stone circles lies not in their apparent simplicity, but in the questions they raise. Why did the ancient builders of the African savannah construct these stone circles in the first place? And how were they able to arrange massive stones, some weighing several tons, without the advanced tools we associate with such feats? There is no definitive answer. Mainstream archaeology suggests that these structures were primarily ritualistic, places where ceremonies were held, possibly connected to agricultural cycles, ancestral worship, or celestial events. Indeed, the layout of the stone circles often appears to align with certain astronomical phenomena, such as the solstices and equinoxes. At Chullpas in South Africa, for example, certain circles are thought to be linked to the observation of the rising and setting of specific stars, perhaps even Sirius or Orion, which were of great importance in various African cultures. Yet, despite these observations, the full significance of these structures remains elusive. The fact that the stone circles seem to have no central, grand purpose, no monumental structures like pyramids or temples, suggests that their role may have been more subtle. Could they have been markers of territory, used by ancient peoples to define boundaries or delineate sacred spaces? Were they ritual centers, a space between the human and the divine, where the living could commune with ancestors or cosmic forces? However, a more speculative theory suggests that these stone circles could have been part of a much larger global network of megalithic structures predating known civilizations. This theory draws on parallels with other ancient sites around the world, such as the stone circles of Britain, the Nabda Playa stone circles in Egypt, and even the megalithic temples of Malta. Could it be that these sites were once interconnected, part of a lost civilization that spanned across continents and connected disparate cultures through a shared knowledge of the earth, the stars, and the forces that govern nature? Could the builders of the African savanna's stone circles have been part of a wider, ancient tradition, now lost to time, whose understanding of the cosmos and geometry is only now being uncovered? One of the most intriguing aspects of these stone circles is their enigmatic relationship with the natural world. The way in which they are situated, often in areas of outstanding natural beauty, suggests a deep reverence for the land. Were these circles intended to honor the earth itself, marking sacred sites that held special significance in the worldview of their creators? The alignment with celestial bodies could imply that the builders not only understood the rhythms of the earth, but had an extraordinary grasp of the sky above them. Were these circles perhaps meant to mirror the cycles of the heavens, reinforcing the belief that the earth and the cosmos are eternally intertwined? Further complicating the mystery is the lack of written records or clear documentation about the builders themselves. Unlike Egypt or Mesopotamia, where detailed inscriptions and records provide insight into the lives of those who constructed monumental structures, the builders of the African stone circles left no such trace. The oral traditions of indigenous African cultures offer some clues, but they do not provide a clear, consistent narrative about the stone circles themselves. This absence of written history is particularly frustrating for archaeologists and historians, who struggle to fit these enigmatic structures into a coherent historical timeline. Could it be that the builders of the African savanna's stone circles were not merely isolated communities, but part of a wider, ancient tradition, one that was passed down through generations in ways that are now lost? And what if the knowledge embedded in these stones was destroyed, either deliberately or through the ravages of time and conquest? While many archaeologists maintain that these stone circles are the work of more recent cultures, dating to the Iron Age or even the medieval period, others point to evidence that suggests a much older origin, possibly even before the Great Flood. Some theorists believe that these circles could be the remnants of a far older civilization, one that existed thousands of years before recorded history. Could these stone circles, scattered throughout the African savanna, be part of a lost civilization that possessed advanced knowledge of both the earth and the sky, but whose legacy was erased in the aftermath of a cataclysmic event? The idea that these structures are not just markers or ceremonial sites, but the remains of a greater, far-reaching civilization, opens up a tantalizing line of inquiry. Could it be that these stone circles are part of a much larger global pattern of megalithic construction, stretching back to a time when the world was connected in ways we can barely imagine today? Were these ancient stone markers meant to convey more than just religious or ceremonial significance? Were they, perhaps, part of a global network of knowledge that spanned continents and crossed oceans, only to vanish into myth? As we walk amidst these ancient stones, weathered by time and scorched by the African sun, it is impossible not to be struck by their quiet mystery. The stone circles of the African Savannah stand as silent witnesses to a past that we can barely begin to comprehend. Their purpose, their creators, and their true significance remain a puzzle that no amount of digging or research has fully solved. And perhaps that is their greatest secret, that despite all our efforts, some mysteries are meant to remain just out of reach, preserved in stone, waiting for the right moment in history when we might finally understand their true meaning. Until then, the stone circles continue to stand, silent and steadfast, watching over the savannah as they have for millennia, offering us nothing but their enigmatic presence. As we leave the vast, sun-scorched plains of the African savannah behind and journey back across the globe, we arrive at one of the most iconic megalithic sites in Europe, Avebury, a serene yet mysterious landscape nestled in the rolling hills of southern England. Unlike the solitary grandeur of Stonehenge, Avebury is a vast, sprawling circle of stones, spread out over a much larger area. It's a place where history seems to breathe from the very ground, where each weathered stone, each carefully arranged circle, tells a story that is both ancient and elusive. Avebury's stone circles are not just an architectural feat, they are an enigma. They stand in stark contrast to many other ancient sites, not simply because of their size, though that is certainly impressive, but because they seem to have been built with a deep, almost reverential understanding of both the natural and the celestial worlds. The site itself is vast, spread over an area of about 28 acres, with its towering stones arranged in concentric circles, some as tall as 15 feet. These stones, with their rough, weathered surfaces, are arranged in a grand circular formation that dwarfs the nearby village of Avebury, blending seamlessly into the landscape. What immediately stands out about Avebury is the sense of scale. The stones are not arranged in isolated rows or neatly defined patterns, as you might find in other megalithic sites. Instead, they form an expansive, flowing layout that seems to stretch across the land, their purpose unclear, their meaning cryptic. The stone circles are not the only feature here. Ancient earthworks and ditches mark the boundaries of the site, suggesting that Avebury may have been a site for more than just ceremonial gatherings, perhaps a complex ritual landscape with deeper, as yet uncovered significance. Historically, Avebury is believed to date back to around 2600 BC, a period that places it far beyond the era of the first Stonehenge construction. But what sets Avebury apart from its more famous neighbor is the mystery surrounding its creation. The question that looms large is, why were these massive stones arranged in such a way? What were the ancient builders trying to achieve, and how were they able to transport, carve, and position these massive stones with such precision? Mainstream archaeology offers explanations grounded in the idea that these megaliths were constructed for ritual purposes, possibly as religious or astronomical markers. Like other megalithic sites, Avebury's alignment with the solstices and other celestial events suggests that the builders were keenly attuned to the movements of the heavens. Yet, while this theory offers a plausible explanation, it does not account for some of the more perplexing aspects of Avebury's design. Unlike Stonehenge, where the stones are arranged in a compact, linear formation, Avebury's stones are spread out in wide circles. Some have posited that the layout may have served as a ceremonial gathering place where people would have convened for festivals, rituals, and seasonal celebrations. But why such a sprawling, open design? Why were the stones placed in a circle that could accommodate large crowds, rather than in a more confined or enclosed space, as seen in other sites across the world? Further complicating the mystery is the discovery that the stones of Avebury were not quarried locally. While some of the stones were sourced from nearby, others came from much farther away, suggesting that the builders had access to an advanced knowledge of the land and were able to transport these stones over long distances. How did they move these massive stones across the countryside without the use of the wheel or other advanced tools? And what was the purpose behind choosing such a diverse set of stones, each one distinct in size, shape, and composition? One of the most intriguing aspects of Avebury, however, is its association with the ancient belief systems of the Neolithic peoples. It's easy to imagine that these megaliths were meant to represent something more than just astronomical observations or religious symbols. Some suggest that the stones may have been part of an ancient ritual landscape designed to reflect the relationship between the Earth and the cosmos, a connection so profound that the site itself may have functioned as a giant, living map of the stars. As we leave the vast, sun-scorched plains of the African savanna behind and journey back across the globe, we arrive at one of the most iconic megalithic sites in Europe, Avebury, a serene yet mysterious landscape nestled in the rolling hills of southern England. Unlike the solitary grandeur of Stonehenge, Avebury is a vast, sprawling circle of stones spread out over a much larger area. It's a place where history seems to breathe from the very ground, where each weathered stone, each carefully arranged circle, tells a story that is both ancient and elusive. Avebury's stone circles are not just an architectural feat, they are an enigma. They stand in stark contrast to many other ancient sites, not simply because of their size, though that is certainly impressive, but because they seem to have been built with a deep, almost reverential understanding of both the natural and the celestial worlds. The site itself is vast, spread over an area of about 28 acres, with its towering stones arranged in concentric circles, some as tall as 15 feet. These stones, with their rough, weathered surfaces, are arranged in a grand circular formation that dwarfs the nearby village of Avebury, blending seamlessly into the landscape. What immediately stands out about Avebury is the sense of scale. The stones are not arranged in isolated rows or neatly defined patterns, as you might find in other megalithic sites. Instead, they form an expansive, flowing layout that seems to stretch across the land, their purpose unclear, their meaning cryptic. The stone circles are not the only feature here. Ancient earthworks and ditches mark the boundaries of the site, suggesting that Avebury may have been a site for more than just ceremonial gatherings, perhaps a complex ritual landscape with deeper, as yet uncovered significance. Historically, Avebury is believed to date back to around 2600 BC, a period that places it far beyond the era of the first Stonehenge construction. But what sets Avebury apart from its more famous neighbor is the mystery surrounding its creation. The question that looms large is, why were these massive stones arranged in such a way? What were the ancient builders trying to achieve, and how were they able to transport, carve, and position these massive stones with such precision? Mainstream archaeology offers explanations grounded in the idea that these megaliths were constructed for ritual purposes, possibly as religious or astronomical markers. Like other megalithic sites, Avebury's alignment with the solstices and other celestial events suggests that the builders were keenly attuned to the movements of the heavens. Yet, while this theory offers a plausible explanation, it does not account for some of the more perplexing aspects of Avebury's design. Unlike Stonehenge, Where the stones are arranged in a compact, linear formation, Avebury's stones are spread out in wide circles. Some have posited that the layout may have served as a ceremonial gathering place, where people would have convened for festivals, rituals, and seasonal celebrations. But why such a sprawling, open design? Why were the stones placed in a circle that could accommodate large crowds, rather than in a more confined or enclosed space, as seen in other sites across the world? Further complicating the mystery is the discovery that the stones of Avebury were not quarried locally. While some of the stones were sourced from nearby, others came from much farther away, suggesting that the builders had access to an advanced knowledge of the land and were able to transport these stones over long distances. How did they move these massive stones across the countryside without the use of the wheel or other advanced tools? And what was the purpose behind choosing such a diverse set of stones, each one distinct in size, shape, and composition? One of the most intriguing aspects of Avebury, however, is its association with the ancient belief systems of the Neolithic peoples. It's easy to imagine that these megaliths were meant to represent something more than just astronomical observations or religious symbols. Some suggest that the stones may have been part of an ancient ritual landscape designed to reflect the relationship between the Earth and the cosmos, a connection so profound that the site itself may have functioned as a giant living map of the stars. Nestled in the rolling green hills of County Meath, Ireland, stands a monument that has endured for over 5,000 years, Newgrange, a megalithic tomb older than the Great Pyramids of Egypt and Stonehenge combined. On the surface, it appears to be a simple mound, its circular stone structure covered by earth and grass. Yet, beneath this tranquil exterior lies a mystery that has captivated archaeologists, historians, and even amateur sleuths for centuries. Newgrange isn't merely a burial site, nor is it simply a construction of stone and earth. It is a portal to a past we can barely begin to understand. The tomb's passageway, aligned perfectly with the rising sun on the winter solstice, illuminates an ancient skill in astronomy, craftsmanship, and perhaps something more, something beyond the reach of our current historical knowledge. As dawn breaks over the tomb each winter, sunlight floods the narrow passageway, traveling all the way to the heart of the structure. For just a few moments, the inner chamber of Newgrange is bathed in light, an awe-inspiring event that seems designed for a specific purpose. But what was that purpose? Was it merely to honor the dead? Or was there something far deeper at work here? A hidden significance tied to the cycles of life and death, the passage of time, or even the cosmos itself. This alignment with the sun, this act of lighting up the dark interior of the tomb on the shortest day of the year, raises more questions than answers. Ancient cultures have long tied celestial events to the divine and the supernatural, but the precision of the Newgrange builders' knowledge seems to transcend mere observation. How did they possess such intricate understanding of the sun's movements when no written records existed? Did they chart the heavens in ways we can only imagine today? Or, as some have suggested, did they have help, perhaps from knowledge that was passed down from even older civilizations or from sources we have yet to discover? Newgrange is not alone. It belongs to a network of similar structures scattered across Ireland and the British Isles, passage tombs built using enormous stones, some weighing several tons, stacked together with meticulous care. These tombs share certain characteristics: long passageways leading to a central chamber, surrounded by a ring of stones that seem to hold no other purpose than to frame the monument, guiding one's attention toward the central ritual space. Many of these tombs are aligned with the solstices, and some are decorated with intricate carvings, spirals, chevrons, and other symbols that appear to have been deliberately chosen for their patterns and their possible meanings. These designs, which remain a mystery to this day, suggest a culture that was profoundly connected to the natural world, possibly even divining deeper truths from its rhythms. But the mystery does not end with the tomb's architecture or their astronomical alignments. Beneath the earth, within the chamber of Newgrange, lie the remains of those who were laid to rest here, perhaps kings or priests, their bones now long turned to dust. The very nature of their burial raises further questions. Some of the human remains found at Newgrange show signs of having been cremated, others buried in a more traditional fashion. Was this a symbol of life's cyclical nature? Or was it indicative of a belief in some form of afterlife? The presence of cremated bones alongside intact skeletal remains suggests a complex and evolving funerary practice, one that may have changed over time. What was it then that drew these ancient people to Newgrange? Was it simply a place of the dead, or was it something more? A gathering place for the living, a site of spiritual significance, or perhaps a nexus where the dead could communicate with the living? We may never know, but what we do know is that Newgrange was not just a tomb, it was a focal point, a place where time, space, and perhaps the divine converged. Over the years, the site has been studied, excavated, and analyzed in countless ways. Yet, while we have learned much about Newgrange, so much remains hidden beneath its stones. Archaeologists have discovered that the monument was once surrounded by a larger complex with 97 standing stones, some of which are now missing or buried. One of the most compelling aspects of these stones is the mysterious carvings they bear. The spirals and geometric designs, some of which appear on the tomb's passageway, are unlike anything else in the world. What do these symbols represent? Some scholars suggest they are symbolic of the sun, the cycles of life, or even the journey of the soul. Others have proposed that they could be a form of proto-writing, a language lost to time. Could these markings be the remnants of a long-forgotten language, a secret code passed down by the builders of the tomb? Yet, despite decades of study, the true meaning of these carvings has remained elusive. The mystery of Newgrange's design, its purpose, and its creators is a puzzle that resists easy answers. Every year, archaeologists, historians, and astronomers converge on the site, hoping to unlock just a little more of its secret. But with each revelation, new questions arise. The closer we come to understanding this ancient wonder, the more we realize how much we still don't know. The significance of Newgrange isn't just in its age, nor in its astronomical precision. It is in the sense of awe that it inspires, an awe that has persisted for thousands of years. What was it about this place that made it so sacred to its builders? Was it merely a tomb for their dead? Or was it a place that held something deeper, something beyond time, beyond death? Were these ancient people trying to communicate with the heavens, or were they reflecting on the transient nature of life itself? There are no easy answers, no clear explanations for the mysteries that Newgrange holds. And perhaps that is what makes it so enduring. This monument to something ancient and unknowable, something that continues to challenge our understanding of history, belief, and the human connection to the cosmos. For now, the secrets of Newgrange remain locked within its stones, waiting for those who are willing to look beyond the surface and wonder, what truly lies at the heart of this ancient wonder? As we leave the mist-shrouded hills of Avebury behind and journey across the continents, we find ourselves in the heart of Ethiopia, where the landscape is dotted with ancient wonders that few outside of academic circles have fully grasped. Here, amidst the undulating plains and the striking geological features of the southern highlands, lies a site of profound mystery, the Tiya stones. Nestled near the village of Tiya, these ancient megalithic stones are scattered across a broad, windswept plateau. Their weathered faces, engraved with cryptic symbols and intricate carvings, rise from the earth like sentinels of a forgotten time. There are 46 standing stones at the site, each varying in height, shape, and form, some as tall as 2.5 meters, others smaller, but all uniformly mysterious in their placement. These stones do not belong to any clear tradition or cultural framework, making them all the more enigmatic. The Tiya site is believed to date back to the 12th century, though some researchers speculate that it could be far older, stretching back into the distant prehistory of the African continent. This timing places it well before the rise of many of the great ancient civilizations, suggesting that the builders of the Tiya stones were part of a tradition that predated recorded history, a tradition whose exact nature is still largely unknown. What makes the Tiya stones particularly fascinating is the inscriptions that adorn many of the stones. They are covered in abstract symbols and carvings, geometric patterns, zigzag lines, and what appear to be depictions of human figures, animals, and objects. The carvings are so distinct that many scholars have argued that they may represent some form of early writing system, possibly a form of communication, a codified language, or even a way to encode spiritual or ritual knowledge. But there is no consensus on the meaning of these inscriptions. Some believe they could be ritualistic markers, perhaps related to burial rites, as the stones are positioned near what appear to be ancient tombs. Others have speculated that the site might have been a sacred center dedicated to celestial observations, with the carvings potentially acting as maps to the stars, markers for solstices or equinoxes, or even representations of ancient mythologies. Yet, despite these theories, the true purpose of the site remains shrouded in ambiguity. What was the significance of these stones to the people who erected them? Were they intended as memorials, as some have suggested, or were they part of a larger, more complex religious or political system that has left behind no other trace? Could these stones have been markers for an ancient kingdom or tribal confederation, perhaps even related to lost African empires that once thrived before the great civilizations of Egypt, Carthage, or Nubia? One of the most perplexing aspects of the Tiya stones is the presence of human-shaped figures carved into some of the megaliths. These depictions are often stylized, with geometric features, possibly representing ancestors or deities. The human figures are often shown in poses that suggest ritualistic importance, perhaps as representations of ancient kings, priests, or mythological figures. Some researchers even argue that these carvings may reflect a more universal theme seen in many megalithic traditions: the reverence of the human form as a bridge between the earthly and divine. Further complicating the mystery are the associations of the Tiya stones with a broader African megalithic tradition that has often been overlooked or misunderstood. While many focus on the monumental structures of Egypt or the more well-known stone circles of the British Isles, the African continent holds its own remarkable and unexplained sites like Tiya, which seem to suggest a much older tradition of megalithic building than is commonly acknowledged. Could the Tiya stones be part of a much larger, ancient network of megalithic structures that spread across Africa and possibly even into the Middle East, predating known civilizations by thousands of years? The exact origins of the builders remain unclear. Who were the people who constructed the Tiya stones? Were they part of the Agaw people, who are believed to have occupied the region at some point in history, or were they the ancestors of the Sidama or another long-forgotten group? What culture or belief system drove them to create these stone structures, and why did they inscribe them with such elaborate carvings? The absence of written records or clear historical documentation adds to the mystery, forcing us to rely on conjecture, symbolism, and the meager archaeological evidence left behind. And then there is the strange and compelling feature of the alignment of the stones. Unlike many stone circles or megalithic sites that are oriented toward astronomical events, such as solstices or equinoxes, there seems to be no clear celestial alignment with the Tiya stones. Their arrangement is more irregular, suggesting that the builders may not have been solely focused on cosmic events, but instead on some other, more complex system of knowledge. Were these stones part of an ancient calendar, perhaps one tied to lunar cycles or agricultural seasons? Or were they related to something more spiritual, representing sacred places on the earth that had power beyond the physical? As with so many ancient sites, the answers to these questions may never be fully known. The Tiya stones, much like the stones of Avebury or the pyramids of Giza, stand as silent witnesses to a bygone age, their meaning locked away behind the veil of time. Yet they continue to inspire fascination and speculation, providing glimpses into a world that, though long gone, still exerts its pull on our imagination. Some have suggested that these stones, with their mysterious inscriptions and scattered arrangement, may be evidence of a much older and widespread cultural tradition, one that spanned the African continent and perhaps even reached across the seas. Could these stones be part of a lost civilization, one that flourished before the great floods or the advent of recorded history? If the builders of the Tiya stones were part of such a civilization, what knowledge did they possess, and why was it lost to time? Standing among these weathered stones, one cannot help but wonder what secrets still lie buried beneath the earth. The Tiya stones are, in many ways, a mystery that invites more questions than answers. As we continue to explore the wonders of our ancient world, we must ask, what more is hidden beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered? Waiting for the right moment to reveal the truths that have been lost to us for millennia. For now, the stones of Tiya remain silent, their messages unread, their purpose unresolved. Yet their presence on the Ethiopian highlands endures, an enduring testament to a past that stretches far beyond our understanding, beckoning us to look deeper into the mysteries of the ancient world. As we continue our journey across the globe, moving from the windswept hills of Ethiopia to the rugged mountains of Peru, we find ourselves at the foot of a vast and forgotten landscape. Here, in the coastal desert of the Supe Valley, stands the ancient city of Caral, the oldest known city in the Americas, a monumental ruin that predates even the rise of the ancient Egyptians. The ruins of Caral are nestled within a harsh, arid environment, where the only signs of life are the sparse vegetation and the occasional wind that stirs the dust across the cracked earth. Yet, within this desolate landscape, lies an extraordinary complex of pyramids, platforms, and sacred spaces that point to a once thriving civilization, one that existed long before the rise of the Inca Empire or the cities of Mesoamerica. The city itself sprawls across over 60 hectares, its central feature being a towering pyramid that rises in the heart of the site, surrounded by smaller structures and ceremonial platforms. Known as the Pyramid Mayor, this imposing structure stands at almost 20 meters tall, its broad base forming the centerpiece of the city. Unlike the towering stone structures of Egypt or Mesopotamia, Caral's pyramids are built from sun-dried adobe bricks, a material that gives them a distinct, organic appearance, earthy and ancient, as though the city itself grew from the land it sits upon. Caral's architectural layout speaks of a highly organized society. The city was meticulously planned with wide plazas, ceremonial areas, and an intricate network of roads that connected its various sectors. The presence of large public spaces suggests that Caral was a place of rituals, gatherings, and perhaps astronomical observations, as many of its buildings align with the movements of the sun and the stars. The site's construction and design imply an advanced understanding of geometry, engineering, and celestial movements, skills that were far ahead of their time. Yet, despite the impressive nature of Caral, the city remains shrouded in mystery. While mainstream archaeology points to Caral as a center of political and religious life for a society that flourished around 5,000 years ago, long before the great civilizations of the Andes, many questions remain unanswered. Who were the people who built Caral? What drove them to create such an enduring monument in a place so seemingly inhospitable? and what knowledge, rituals, and stories were contained within its walls. Caral is believed to have been founded around 3000 BCE, making it older than both the pyramids of Giza and the Mesopotamian city of Ur. This dating places it firmly within the pre-Columbian world, far removed from the civilizations we typically associate with ancient American history. The site flourished for centuries, reaching its peak around 2500 BCE, but eventually, like so many ancient cities, it was abandoned. The reasons for its decline remain speculative. Some scholars suggest it was environmental, perhaps linked to the changing climate of the region, while others propose political or social upheaval. Despite its age and the harsh conditions of the desert, Caral's preservation is remarkable. The dry climate of the Peruvian coast has helped to preserve the city's architecture in a way that is rare for ancient ruins. Yet, even with such preservation, much of the city's deeper significance remains elusive. While it's clear that Caral was an important ceremonial center, what was its true role in the broader context of pre-Columbian history? Some experts suggest that it may have been a trade hub, a center for exchanging goods, ideas, and culture across the ancient world. Others argue that its significance may have been more spiritual in nature, perhaps a place where ancient peoples performed rituals to honor their gods and the celestial forces that governed their lives. The artifacts uncovered at Caral tell us some, but not all, of the story. Tools, pottery, textiles, and the remains of musical instruments suggest that the people of Caral had a rich and complex culture. There are even signs that music and performance played a central role in their daily lives, with instruments such as flutes and drums being used in ceremonial contexts. Some archaeologists speculate that the presence of musical instruments may point to the role of ritualistic gatherings where sound and song were used to invoke divine forces or celebrate seasonal changes. Yet for all the physical evidence, one question remains. Why, in such an inhospitable environment, did the people of Caral create such an intricate and monumental city? What was their relationship with the natural world? Were they trying to harness the forces of nature, as many ancient cultures did? Or were they creating something even more profound? A center of thought, belief, and learning that has since been forgotten? The remains of agricultural terraces at the site suggest that the people of Caral had an intimate understanding of the land and how to cultivate it. But the true purpose of the pyramids and their elaborate ceremonial centers is not as clear. Some researchers have even proposed that Caral might not have been isolated in its development, but rather part of a broader network of ancient civilizations that spanned the Americas and beyond. Could it be that the people of Caral shared cultural or spiritual connections with ancient civilizations in the Old World, such as those in Egypt or Mesopotamia? Some fringe theories suggest that the similarities between Caral's pyramids and those of Egypt could indicate an exchange of ideas across ancient trade routes that are now lost to history. But the more we learn about Caral, the more questions arise. Why is it that this site, with its advanced architectural features and its impressive scale, has remained largely unknown for so long? Is it possible that Caral is the last remaining piece of a puzzle that once spanned the entire continent, a puzzle that remains scattered across time, waiting for us to reconnect the dots? What is undeniable is that Caral stands as a reminder of the deep, ancient roots of human civilization. It challenges us to reconsider the history of the Americas and to wonder how much more there is to discover. While we may never know the full extent of the city's purpose, its survival in the desert, uncovered but undiminished, suggests that Caral was something far more than a simple city. It was a symbol of endurance, a place where knowledge, culture, and belief converged, and where, perhaps, the first whispers of an ancient, pre-flood civilization were laid down in the earth. For now, the ruins of Caral stand silent, their story waiting to be fully told. As we leave the city behind and look to the horizon, we cannot help but wonder, what other secrets lie buried beneath the desert sands, waiting to be uncovered? And what lost knowledge from this ancient city, long before the Great Flood, still lies hidden in the folds of history, waiting for the right moment to surface? As the sun rises over the dense jungles of Cambodia, a vast and enigmatic structure emerges from the mist. Angkor Wat, the largest religious monument in the world. From a distance, it appears as an island of stone rising above the treetops, its towering spires piercing the sky like the remnants of a forgotten world. The temple complex stretches over 162 hectares, its walls adorned with intricate carvings that tell stories of gods and kings, wars and triumphs, all set against the backdrop of a landscape that is as lush and wild as it is ancient. Angkor Wat was originally constructed in the early 12th century as a Hindu temple dedicated to the god Vishnu under the reign of King Suryavarman II. Over time, it gradually transformed into a Buddhist temple as Cambodia's spiritual landscape shifted. Today, it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, drawing millions of visitors from around the world. Yet, despite its iconic status, Angkor Wat remains shrouded in layers of mystery. Mysteries not just of its origins, but of the knowledge and methods used to create it. The temple is a marvel of engineering, designed with remarkable precision and skill. The central tower, rising to a height of 65 meters, is surrounded by 4 smaller towers, each designed to represent the mythical Mount Meru, the center of the universe in Hindu and Buddhist cosmology. The surrounding walls are adorned with over 2,000 bas-reliefs, depicting scenes of mythological significance, historical events, and the everyday life of the Khmer Empire. The artistry is unparalleled, and yet, as we stand before it, the question persists. How did a civilization, with no known advanced technology or tools, construct such an elaborate monument, not just in size but in its complexity? To the untrained eye, Angkor Wat might seem like a symbol of ancient religious devotion, a testament to the might of the Khmer Empire. But look closer, and the geometry and alignment of the temple complex offer clues that suggest something far more profound. The temple is oriented toward the west, a direction typically associated with death in Hindu and Buddhist cosmology, as it is where the sun sets. Could this orientation indicate a deeper spiritual significance? Perhaps the temple was designed not just as a place of worship, but as a symbolic connection to the cosmos itself, a cosmic alignment meant to bridge the earthly realm with the divine. The scale and ambition of the construction are mind-boggling. It's said that over 300,000 workers were employed in the building of Angkor Wat, yet the logistics of sourcing, transporting, and carving the massive stones remain unclear. How did they accomplish this feat? The sheer quantity of sandstone used in the structure, along with the precision required to fit the stones together without the use of mortar, suggests a level of sophistication that seems to defy the technology available at the time. Were the builders of Angkor Wat simply incredibly skilled artisans, or did they possess forgotten knowledge, perhaps lost to time, about engineering and construction methods far beyond what we know today? Adding to the mystery is the question of how the Khmer Empire, which was, at its height, one of the most powerful empires in Southeast Asia, managed to build such a monument without leaving behind clear records of the technologies or techniques they used. While the empire's written language has been partially deciphered, much of the knowledge about the construction of Angkor Wat and its significance has been lost. There are no surviving blueprints, no detailed architectural documents, only the stone structure itself, which has stood the test of time. Some scholars have proposed that the temple's construction may have involved advanced engineering techniques, perhaps utilizing water engineering or lever systems that were far ahead of their time. The fact that Angkor Wat was constructed in an area prone to flooding raises intriguing questions about the use of water as a tool in the temple's design. Could the builders have had access to knowledge about controlling water flow in ways that modern engineers are only now beginning to understand? Others have suggested that the alignment of the temple with celestial events, such as the equinoxes and solstices, could indicate that the builders were influenced by a much older, possibly lost civilization. The precision of Angkor Wat's design, with its astronomical alignments and complex geometries, raises the possibility that the builders were drawing upon ancient knowledge of the stars, planets, and the natural world. Was this wisdom passed down from a civilization that predates the Khmer Empire, or perhaps even the Great Flood, connecting Angkor Wat to the wider world of ancient megalithic builders? The city of Angkor itself was not just a religious site, but a vast urban complex, with an intricate network of temples, reservoirs, and canals, extending far beyond Angkor Wat. The Angkorian civilization reached its peak in the 12th century, covering an area of up to 1,000 square kilometers, with a population that may have numbered over 1 million people. Yet, despite its power and influence, the empire declined mysteriously in the centuries that followed. What caused the fall of Angkor, and why was such a magnificent city, with all its knowledge and monuments, abandoned? One theory posits that the decline was caused by climatic changes, particularly prolonged periods of drought, which would have strained the city's sophisticated irrigation systems. As the water sources dried up, so too did the foundation of the empire's agricultural economy. Yet other scholars argue that the fall of Angkor may have been more complex, involving political instability, internal strife, or even external invasions. Adding to the enigma, some fringe theories suggest that Angkor Wat, with its astronomical alignments and mysterious construction techniques, could be a product of an even older, possibly pre-flood civilization. Could the Khmer Empire have inherited knowledge and wisdom from a lost culture, one that existed long before the rise of Angkor? Was Angkor Wat built upon the ruins of a much earlier temple, perhaps one that was destroyed in a cataclysmic event, such as a flood, that wiped out much of ancient knowledge? For now, these questions remain unanswered, and Angkor Wat stands as both a symbol of the grandeur of the Khmer Empire and a testament to the limits of our understanding. The scale of the temple, the intricacy of its design, and the mystery surrounding its construction raise more questions than they answer. Was Angkor Wat simply the work of a brilliant civilization that harnessed the best of its time? Or is there a deeper, more ancient knowledge embedded in its stones, waiting to be uncovered? As the sun sets behind the towering spires of Angkor Wat, casting long shadows over the ruins, one cannot help but wonder, what secrets are still hidden within this monumental structure? What wisdom, lost to the ages, lies dormant beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself? The mysteries of Angkor Wat, like so many ancient wonders, continue to beckon, inviting us to look deeper, think harder, and search for answers that may still be out of reach. High in the Andean mountains of Bolivia, at an elevation of over 12,500 feet, lies one of the most mysterious and enigmatic sites in the world, the megalithic complex of Tiahuanaco. The sprawling ruins, once part of a vast city, are scattered across the cold, wind-swept plateau of the Altiplano, where the only signs of life are the occasional llama grazing in the distance and the wind that howls across the ancient stones, whispering secrets of a bygone age. At the heart of this complex stands the famous Gate of the Sun, a massive stone monolith intricately carved with geometric patterns and human-like figures. The gate is framed by colossal stone pillars, each weighing several tons, arranged in a precise alignment that seems deliberate, almost cosmic in its precision. What draws the curious eye is not just the sheer scale of the stones, but their workmanship, stones that appear to have been cut and shaped with astonishing precision, defying the methods available to the ancient builders. Tiahuanaco is thought to have been constructed between 500 BCE and 1000 CE, though some estimates push the origins of the site even further back, to a time long before the established rise of the Tiahuanaco culture. But the more we study this ancient site, the more the questions mount. How did the builders of Tiahuanaco, with their rudimentary tools, manage to quarry, shape, and position such massive stones with such intricate detail? Some of the stones, like the Ponce monolith, weigh over 10 tons, yet their edges are so finely cut that not even the thinnest blade can fit between them. The mysteries of Tiahuanaco are not limited to its architecture. The site is home to several pyramidal structures and temples, each aligned to celestial events. The Akapana Pyramid, once a towering structure made of large stone blocks, still commands attention, even in its ruinous state. Yet, no one truly understands its purpose. Was it a religious site or a center of astronomical observation? Or perhaps both? The placement and structure of the buildings suggest that the people of Tiahuanaco had an advanced knowledge of the heavens, aligning the stones and structures in accordance with the movements of the stars and the sun. Nearby, the semi-subterranean temple is another example of the complex's architectural ingenuity. This structure is partially buried underground, its walls lined with stone carvings of creatures, some resembling animals, others more ambiguous, almost alien in their appearance. The carvings depict creatures with strange, elongated heads, and their features seem almost too advanced for the period. What did these figures represent? Were they deities or something else entirely? And what connection did they have with the larger spiritual framework of Tiahuanaco? One of the most perplexing features of Tiahuanaco is its incredible astronomical alignment. The ancient builders appear to have had a profound understanding of the cosmos, as evidenced by the precise orientation of their monuments. The Gate of the Sun, for example, is aligned with the sunrise during the winter solstice. The ancient Aymara people, who are believed to have been connected to the Tiahuanaco civilization, have long held beliefs tied to celestial phenomena, particularly the cycles of the sun and the moon. Was Tiahuanaco a site for ritual observances that connected the people with the cosmic forces? Or was it a hub for a far more complex understanding of the universe, one that has been lost to history? Despite extensive archaeological study, Tiahuanaco's origins remain shrouded in uncertainty. The mainstream theory suggests that it was the heart of a powerful Andean civilization. But what remains baffling is how this civilization, often described as pre-Inca, could have possessed such advanced knowledge, technology, and architectural skill without leaving behind records of how they achieved it. The construction techniques at Tiahuanaco seem to defy conventional explanation. The stones used to build the site are not native to the immediate region but were brought from distant quarries, some up to 10 kilometers away. The complexity of the stonework, with precisely cut edges and tight-fitting joints, suggests a level of engineering mastery that should have been impossible with the tools available at the time. Could it be that the builders of Tiahuanaco possessed lost technologies, perhaps of a more ancient pre-flood civilization, capable of quarrying, shaping, and moving these massive stones with methods that are now unknown to us? Further deepening the mystery is the discovery of the sunken temple at the site, a subterranean chamber with a long corridor and walls adorned with carved faces. Some researchers speculate that this temple could have been built as a place of spiritual enlightenment, or perhaps as a ritualistic passage to another realm. What was the purpose of this subterranean space, and why does it appear to be different from other structures at the site? Could it have been a sacred site, used for practices that we can only begin to imagine? One of the most tantalizing questions surrounding Tiahuanaco is its sudden and unexplained decline. By the time the Inca Empire rose to power, Tiahuanaco had long since fallen into ruin. Some researchers speculate that the city's abandonment may have been linked to climate change, particularly the droughts that affected the region. Yet the sheer scale of the site's decline and the apparent lack of written records about its fall lead others to suggest that there was a more dramatic cause. Was Tiahuanaco destroyed in a cataclysmic event, perhaps linked to the mysterious Great Flood that is often referenced in ancient mythologies across the world? There are also alternative theories that propose external influences or invasions as the cause of Tiahuanaco's downfall. Could the city have been attacked or displaced by other cultures in the region? Or is it possible that the advanced knowledge the civilization held became too powerful, leading to internal divisions or conflict? Tiahuanaco's mysteries are compounded by the lack of concrete evidence about its origins and its culture. While mainstream archaeology points to a connection between Tiahuanaco and the Aymara civilization, which is believed to have flourished in the region long before the rise of the Inca, much of the site's history remains speculative. Some fringe theories even suggest that Tiahuanaco could have been a colonial outpost of a much older, pre-flood civilization, perhaps one with connections to the ancient civilizations of Mesopotamia or even Atlantis itself. As we gaze upon the massive stones of Tiahuanaco, with their silent, weathered faces and their alignment to the stars, it is hard not to wonder, what knowledge was lost in the passage of time? What truths remain hidden beneath these ancient stones, buried by centuries of erosion and the unforgiving winds of the Andes? Tiahuanaco stands as a monument not just to a forgotten people, but to a mystery that refuses to be solved. Could the answers lie beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered by future generations? Or will this ancient site remain one of the greatest unsolved enigmas of our time? Only time will tell. As we turn our gaze from the towering structures of the Andes to the heart of Anatolia, Turkey, we descend into a world that has long remained hidden beneath the surface, a subterranean city that defies conventional understanding. Deep within the Cappadocian region, carved into the soft volcanic rock of the Derinkuyu Valley, lies the underground city of Derinkuyu, a megalithic wonder that stretches far below the Earth's surface, its labyrinthine corridors echoing with the ghosts of an ancient past. Discovered only in 1963 by a local man renovating his home, the vastness of Derinkuyu's underground network was soon revealed to the world, a city that sprawls for several levels, extending over 60 meters deep, with room for thousands of people. The most astonishing feature of this subterranean metropolis is its scale. It is not simply a collection of chambers and tunnels, but a sprawling, multi-layered urban complex. Entire rooms, wells, ventilation shafts, and even chapels are carved into the stone, with each level serving a specific function in the community's survival strategy. What immediately draws attention is the engineering feat this underground city represents. The tunnels are narrow, winding, and often steep, but remarkably organized, with a level of planning that suggests an advanced understanding of engineering, architecture, and perhaps even socio-political organization. The stone doors that seal off certain sections are massive and perfectly round, capable of being rolled into place to seal off entire levels of the city, a defensive mechanism that suggests an intense need for protection, perhaps from external threats. Derinkuyu is believed to have been constructed over 2,000 years ago, though its precise origins remain shrouded in mystery. Archaeologists have generally dated it to the Phrygian or Hittite period, but some speculate that its true origin may predate even these well-established civilizations. Could it have been built by an earlier, even more ancient culture? One whose knowledge of construction, defense, and survival in harsh conditions was unparalleled? How did such an advanced underground city come to be? And why was it built so far from any known trade routes or population centers? The purpose of Derinkuyu is, of course, one of the greatest questions. The most common theory is that it served as a refuge, a safe haven during times of war or invasion. The underground city would have allowed its inhabitants to live for extended periods, hidden from enemies above, with wells, food storage areas, and even livestock pens deep beneath the earth. Given the region's history of invasions, particularly by the Persians, Romans, and later Arab caliphates, it's not hard to imagine that Derinkuyu was a strategic retreat designed to protect its people from harm. But what if the city had another purpose? What if Derinkuyu was not simply a fortress, but a ritualistic or sacred site designed to connect its inhabitants to the earth in a deeper, spiritual way? The chambers and tunnels in Derinkuyu are not just utilitarian, they have an aura of mysticism about them. The city's layout, with its oddly placed chapels and ceremonial spaces, suggests that it might have served as a spiritual sanctuary as much as a place of survival. Intriguingly, some have linked Derinkuyu to the broader Cappadocian region's ancient rock-cut temples and Christian sanctuaries, some of which date back to the Byzantine period. While it's clear that Christianity played a role in the later phases of the city's history, there are indications that earlier civilizations, perhaps even those who predated the known empires of the region, had a hand in shaping this subterranean labyrinth. Could Derinkuyu have been built by a people with esoteric knowledge, possibly connected to the lost traditions of Atlantean or pre-flood civilizations? Some fringe theories have taken these mysteries even further. Could Derinkuyu have been a global network of subterranean cities, all linked by an ancient network of tunnels used for trade, defense, or even communication across vast distances? Other theories propose that the city's architects were influenced by knowledge passed down from ancient extraterrestrial civilizations, with their unusual stone-cutting techniques and seemingly inexplicable engineering prowess. Despite these theories, there is no denying that the engineering of Derinkuyu is impressive by any standard. The ventilation system, for example, is one of the most sophisticated aspects of the site. Air shafts, some reaching up to 40 meters deep, were strategically placed throughout the city to ensure that even its deepest chambers received adequate oxygen. This system, so advanced that it would be difficult to replicate with modern technology, hints at a level of understanding that was far ahead of its time. But the more we explore, the more questions arise. If Derinkuyu was built as a refuge, why were entire families, animals, and even livestock pens incorporated into the city's design? What were these people preparing for? And why would they go to such extreme lengths to create an underground city when above ground, the region was rich with resources and natural beauty? It's also worth noting that Derinkuyu was not the only underground city in the Cappadocia region. In fact, it is part of a vast network of subterranean settlements that stretch across Turkey, including other notable sites such as Kaymakli and Ozkonak. These cities, while not as extensive as Derinkuyu, show similar patterns of underground construction, suggesting that this was not an isolated phenomenon, but part of a broader cultural trend. Were these underground cities the legacy of a lost, pre-flood civilization? Or were they simply a regional response to the realities of living in an area prone to constant threats? Some speculate that these underground cities were not just refugees from invasion, but places of refuge from natural disasters, such as earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, or even climate change. The region's volcanic history, marked by the eruption of Mount Erciyes and other nearby mountains, raises the possibility that the people who built Derinkuyu were responding to some kind of cataclysmic event, one that may have forced them to seek refuge beneath the earth in order to survive. With its secretive, underground nature, Derinkuyu continues to inspire wonder and speculation. While its practical use as a place of refuge is understood, the broader purpose and origins of the city remain a deep mystery. Did it serve a purely utilitarian role, or was it something far more profound, tied to the spiritual or even astronomical beliefs of its creators? As we dig deeper into the enigma of Derinkuyu, the question arises: what truths might still lie hidden beneath the stone floors and forgotten corridors of this ancient underground city? Could it hold the key to a forgotten chapter of human history, or is it simply a product of ancient peoples reacting to their environment? The answers may be buried deep, but with each layer of stone we peel away, we come closer to understanding the wonders of a civilization that remains, even to this day, largely unknown. As we continue our exploration of ancient sites that may predate recorded history, we now find ourselves in the heart of the Caucasus, nestled in the steep hills of central Georgia. Here, carved into the very rock of the Shida-Kartli region, lies a fascinating, almost otherworldly complex, a city that seems both timeless and enigmatic: Uplistsikhe. This ancient site, often referred to as the Fortress of God, is one of the most intriguing and mysterious archaeological treasures of the Caucasus. From a distance, Uplistsikhe appears as a collection of jagged, weather-worn stone structures protruding from the mountainside, almost as though the land itself has given birth to these megalithic formations. As you approach, the scale becomes more apparent. The site spans over 40 acres and stretches across a series of rocky hills, commanding breathtaking views of the surrounding landscape. The carved stone structures, once bustling with life, stand in silent testimony to a civilization long past, their function and origin still debated by scholars. It's not just the visual impact of Uplistsikhe that is captivating, but its history and mystery. The site's name, meaning Lord's Fortress or Fortress of the God, hints at a religious significance, suggesting that Uplistsikhe may have served as a center of worship and authority. But this is just the beginning of its complex and layered story. Archaeologists believe that Uplistsikhe was founded as early as the 12th century BCE, during the early Iron Age, and that it continued to evolve through various periods of ancient Georgia's history. Its significance peaks around the 1st century CE, when it became one of the most important urban centers in the region. Yet it wasn't just a city. It was an entire fortress complex with monumental features, many of which still leave us pondering how such an advanced and integrated structure could have been created in antiquity. As you wander through the site, the stone-carved architecture is immediately striking. The rock faces of the surrounding cliffs have been hollowed out to create interconnected buildings, tunnels, and rooms, all blending seamlessly with the natural landscape. Some structures are entirely hewn from the rock, while others appear to have been built on top of natural caves and chambers, indicating an early mastery of both architecture and engineering. The layout of Uplistsikhe reflects a deep understanding of space, functionality, and spiritual symbolism. Among the site's most notable features are its temples, ritualistic chambers, and an ancient theater, which still stands as a striking reminder of its once thriving cultural life. There's a sense of the sacred here, with chambers that feel carefully designed to amplify the mystery of the site. One of the most notable structures is a rock-hewn church, with its sweeping arches and intricate carvings, suggesting the blending of pagan and early Christian traditions, a key point in the history of the Caucasus, where the conversion to Christianity was underway. While the broad outline of Uplistsikhe's history is understood, much of its true origin remains a mystery. The early inhabitants of the site were likely the Karts, an ancient people native to the region. But who were they exactly? Were they an indigenous group, or could they have been influenced by or linked to more advanced, perhaps even pre-flood civilizations from the wider Mediterranean and Near Eastern regions? Many historians point to the Urartians, an ancient civilization that flourished in the region during the first millennium BCE, as a possible cultural influence on Uplistsikhe's development. The Urartians, known for their fortresses, tunnels, and advanced engineering techniques, may have helped shape Uplistsikhe into a fortified center. However, others believe that the site predates the Urartian era, suggesting that Uplistsikhe could be a remnant of a lost civilization, one that existed before the well-documented Iron Age cultures. The choice of rock as the medium for construction is itself puzzling. How did these early people possess the tools and knowledge to carve entire cities into stone? The sheer scale of the project is astounding when you consider that the inhabitants didn't have the kind of advanced machinery we associate with large construction projects today. What methods did they use to carve these structures with such precision? Was it simply a matter of necessity, or was there an esoteric knowledge involved in the site's creation, perhaps passed down from ancient, lost cultures that understood not just engineering, but the spiritual significance of the land? Some suggest that Uplistsikhe, with its sophisticated infrastructure, could have been a site of interdimensional importance or even astronomical significance. There are structures at Uplistsikhe that align with the celestial bodies, and some even believe that its layout is deliberately constructed in harmony with the stars, just as the Great Pyramids of Giza or Stonehenge were. Could this ancient complex have served as more than just a city? Could it have been a sacred observatory, a place where the cosmos was studied, and where the secrets of the heavens were inscribed into the very rocks themselves? The deeper we dig into the history of ancient sites like Uplistsikhe, the more we start to wonder, could this city be connected to ancient accounts of a great flood? The idea of a cataclysmic event that reshaped the world's landscape, commonly known as the Great Flood, pervades the myths of many ancient cultures, from the Sumerians to the Greeks to the biblical Hebrews. Could Uplistsikhe, perched high on the cliffs, have been constructed as a fortress or sanctuary in response to the memory of such a disaster? The strategic location of Uplistsikhe, on a rocky hill, suggests that it may have been designed to withstand floods or other natural disasters, serving as a haven for its inhabitants. Perhaps it was a cultural memory, an attempt to rebuild after a great upheaval. Could its rock-hewn temples and shrines have been built to commemorate the survival of the people during such a time? Were the rock chambers and carved tunnels a way to shelter the community from natural catastrophes, much like the subterranean cities we find in other parts of the world, such as the underground cities of Cappadocia in Turkey? It's also worth considering the possibility that Uplistsikhe's builders had access to an ancient knowledge of catastrophic events, perhaps from previous civilizations who had witnessed the aftermath of the flood. Could they have designed the site as a place of resilience, not just for physical protection, but for preserving knowledge and culture that might be lost in such a global disaster? While we may never fully understand the exact origins or purposes of Uplistsikhe, there is a clear spiritual dimension to the site. The rock-hewn churches and temples speak to a culture that placed great emphasis on the divine and the sacred. The complex's layout appears deliberately designed to accommodate ceremonial rituals, and the intricate carvings that adorn the walls of some chambers could have been used to communicate with the divine, or perhaps to record cosmic knowledge passed down through generations. Could these carvings be the remnants of a lost religion, one that predates the arrival of Christianity in the region? Or do they represent a continuity of ancient traditions that survived through the centuries, even as the people of Uplistsikhe adapted to new ways of life? And what of the mysterious tunnels that snake their way beneath the site? Some have suggested that they may have served as pathways for rituals or even pilgrimages, linking the earthly realm to the divine. As we step back and reflect on Uplistsikhe, it becomes clear that this ancient city is more than just a collection of buildings. It is a living, breathing testament to a culture that understood the forces of nature, the power of the cosmos, and perhaps even the mysteries of life and death. The very stones of Uplistsikhe seem to hold secrets, and though much has been uncovered, we are left to wonder, what truths still remain buried in this ancient fortress of stone? What was it that drove its builders to carve their city so deeply into the earth? And what do their creations tell us about a time long past? As we leave the rugged hills of Uplistsikhe behind, the mysteries linger in the air. What was once a thriving, sacred city carved into the rocks may hold the keys to forgotten histories, answers we may yet discover if we dare to look closer. Nestled high in the Andean mountains, near the shores of Lake Umayo in southern Peru, lies one of the most enigmatic archaeological sites in the world, Sillustani. Known for its towering stone structures, the site is home to the Chullpas, ancient burial towers that seem to defy explanation. These remarkable structures, some rising more than 12 meters tall, are not only a testament to the skill of the ancient builders, but also a mystery that continues to baffle archaeologists and historians. Sillustani's Chullpas are unlike anything found in the surrounding Andean region. These circular towers, constructed from precisely cut stones, were used as tombs for high-ranking individuals from the pre-Inca civilizations, including the Kula people. Yet, there's something unsettling about these monuments, something that suggests that there is more to their construction and purpose than meets the eye. As the wind sweeps through the desolate plateau, the Chullpas cast long, eerie shadows over the lake, their massive stone walls standing firm against time and the elements. The air feels thick with the weight of the past, as though the stones themselves hold secrets that have yet to be uncovered. The site at Sillustani is older than the Inca Empire, dating back to around 1000 CE, though some estimates suggest that the Chullpas themselves may be even older, possibly built during the early periods of the Kula civilization. The Chullpas were used to house the remains of important figures, including leaders and priests, who were placed in a seated position within these towering structures. The burial chambers are small and simple, but the sheer scale of the towers, constructed with massive, finely cut stones, is astonishing. Each Chullpa was built with great care, the stones arranged with such precision that they have stood the test of time, despite the seismic activity that often rattles the region. What stands out most about the Chullpas, however, is the precision with which they were constructed. Unlike most pre-Columbian structures in the Andes, the Chullpas of Sillustani were built using perfectly cut stones that fit together without mortar. Some of the stones weigh several tons, and the way they interlock with such exactness is almost unnerving. How did the Kula people, who were not known for advanced technology or tools, manage to construct such monumental structures? The use of finely cut stones suggests a level of skill and craftsmanship that seems beyond the capabilities of the people of that era. Furthermore, the Chullpas' locations and alignments suggest an intricate knowledge of astronomy. Some of the tombs are aligned with the rising sun or the stars, pointing to the possibility that these structures had a dual purpose, both as tombs and as astronomical observatories. It's as if the Chullpas were not only designed to honor the dead, but also to mark the passage of time, guiding the spirits of the deceased on their journey into the afterlife. Could the builders of Sillustani have had knowledge of celestial events and used these structures to track the movements of the heavens? Could these tombs have been aligned with significant astrological phenomena, such as solstices or equinoxes? There is also a peculiar detail about the Chullpas that has confounded researchers for decades. Many of the tombs are found to have large carved holes in their sides, often positioned at the top of the structure. While some argue that these holes were designed for ventilation or for symbolic reasons, others suggest that they might have served as entryways for the spirits of the deceased, allowing them to ascend to the heavens. The fact that these holes are so precisely carved and placed raises further questions about the spiritual and ceremonial significance of the site. The surrounding landscape adds to the mystery of Sillustani. Located at an elevation of nearly 4,000 meters, the site is perched above Lake Umayo, its waters shimmering in the sunlight. The lake itself holds a sense of mystery, as it is home to a small island that is said to have been a sacred site for the ancient people. Could the lake have held symbolic significance for the Kula civilization? Was it seen as a boundary between the earthly realm and the spiritual world, with the Chullpas serving as gateways to the afterlife? But the most compelling mystery of Sillustani lies in the possible connection between the Chullpas and the broader history of ancient Peru. Though it was once thought that the site was part of the Inca Empire, research has shown that the Chullpas predate the Inca by several centuries. This raises intriguing questions about the origins of the Kula people and their relationship with other ancient civilizations in the region. Who were the Kula, and what knowledge did they possess that allowed them to construct such sophisticated structures? Could the Chullpas be the remnants of a lost civilization, a people who possessed knowledge and skills far ahead of their time? As we dig deeper into the mystery of Sillustani, we must consider the possibility that the Chullpas are not just monumental tombs, but relics of a lost tradition, one that was passed down through generations, but eventually forgotten by history. The precise craftsmanship, the astronomical alignments, and the symbolism embedded in the structures suggest that the builders of Sillustani may have had a deeper understanding of the cosmos than we currently recognize. Did they have access to knowledge that has been lost to time, perhaps passed down from an ancient civilization that existed long before the Kula? Were the Chullpas a way to preserve this knowledge, a testament to the spiritual and astronomical understanding of a forgotten people? Some theorists suggest that the Kula people were influenced by earlier, more advanced cultures, possibly even ones that existed long before the rise of the Andean civilizations. Could the Chullpas of Sillustani be evidence of a more widespread, ancient knowledge of the cosmos, one that was shared by cultures across the globe? The connections between the ancient civilizations of the Americas and those of Europe, Africa, and Asia have long been a subject of debate, but the precision and scale of the Chullpas raises the intriguing possibility that they were not an isolated development, but part of a broader global tradition of megalithic construction. But as we consider these possibilities, we are left with more questions than answers. What drove the Kula people to construct such massive, intricate structures? What was their relationship with the heavens, and how did they see the afterlife? Were the Chullpas a reflection of their spiritual beliefs, or were they part of a larger, more complex system of knowledge that we have yet to fully comprehend? As the sun begins to set over the Andean peaks, casting a golden glow over the stone towers of Sillustani, we are left to contemplate the mysteries that still linger in the air. The Chullpas stand as silent sentinels, their weathered stones holding the secrets of a long-lost civilization. Whether they were built as tombs, as temples, or as observatories, they continue to defy explanation. And as long as these towering structures remain, we are left with the haunting question: what do the Chullpas of Sillustani truly represent, and what knowledge have they preserved from the ancient past? In the heart of the Mediterranean, on the island of Malta, a series of ancient megalithic temples rise from the earth, weathered by time yet still standing as monumental testaments to a civilization long vanished. These structures, collectively known as the megalithic temples of Malta, are not just old, they are among the oldest freestanding structures in the world, older even than the pyramids of Egypt. The temples of Hal Saflieni, Hagar-Chim, Menajdra, and others dot the island, each one a piece of a forgotten puzzle, their purpose and builders shrouded in mystery. The largest and most famous of these temples, Hagar-Chim, sits high above the coastline, its stone pillars reaching toward the sky, as though striving to connect with something unseen. The stones themselves, massive blocks weighing several tons, are carefully shaped, but their exact method of construction remains unclear. How did the people who built these structures manage to move and shape such immense stones with no advanced tools or machinery? Some of these stones weigh as much as 20 tons, and yet they were transported and arranged with a precision that would be impressive even by today's standards. As the wind sweeps across the island, carrying with it the scent of salt water and the faint echoes of ancient rituals, one can't help but wonder, What drove these early people to create such extraordinary structures? What kind of society could have gathered the resources and knowledge necessary to build temples that would stand for millennia? And most intriguingly of all, why did they build them in the first place? The mainstream archaeological narrative suggests that the temples were religious centers, places where the island's early inhabitants came together to worship their gods or perform rituals. The temples are aligned with astronomical phenomena, such as the solstices and equinoxes, hinting at a deep connection between the people and the heavens. The stone carvings and statues found within the temples often depict female figures, many with exaggerated features, perhaps representing fertility deities or the earth itself. These symbols of fertility and life suggest that the temples were dedicated to life-giving forces, possibly related to agricultural cycles and the rhythms of nature. However, the exact purpose of these temples is far from certain. Some researchers have proposed that they were sites of healing, perhaps used by shamans or priests to perform rituals that could alter the consciousness of the participants. Others speculate that the temples may have been centers of astronomical observation, serving as sophisticated instruments to track the movements of the stars, sun, and moon. The alignment of the temples with celestial events, like the winter solstice, supports this theory, as it suggests that the builders had a highly developed understanding of astronomy and the natural world. But beyond these theories, there are elements of the temples that raise more questions than answers. For instance, the sheer scale of the temples seems disproportionate to the size and population of the society that built them. The island of Malta, although strategically positioned in the Mediterranean, was small and lacked the resources that larger civilizations would have had access to. Yet the effort required to construct the temples seems to suggest that the builders had access to advanced knowledge or resources that we don't fully understand. Could there have been a more complex, hidden purpose behind these structures, one that we have yet to uncover? Even more puzzling is the question of how the stones were transported and arranged. While it's generally accepted that the builders used simple tools, pulleys, and levers to move the stones, the logistics of such an undertaking remain unclear. The stone quarries are located several miles from the temple sites, and the stones would have had to be transported across rugged terrain and uneven coastal paths. How did the builders manage this feat with the limited technology available to them? Was there something more to the construction process, some lost technique or knowledge that has been lost to time? The mystery deepens when we consider the fact that the temples were eventually abandoned. No one knows exactly when or why the people of Malta ceased building these monumental structures, but there are indications that the decline of the temples was connected to significant changes in the environment and society. Some researchers believe that shifts in climate, such as droughts or rising sea levels, may have disrupted the island's agricultural economy, making it harder to sustain such large-scale building projects. Others point to the rise of other Mediterranean powers, such as the Phoenicians or the Carthaginians, as potential causes for the island's cultural shift. Still, others speculate that the abandonment of the temples could have been linked to a spiritual or religious shift. Perhaps the ancient Maltese people began to abandon their old ways and rituals in favor of new beliefs and practices. Yet, even with these theories, the temple's final days remain shrouded in mystery. Some of the temples show signs of being deliberately buried, as though the people who built them wanted to leave them behind, possibly in reverence or as part of a ritualistic process. Was the burial of the temples a symbolic act, a way of protecting their power or their secrets from future generations? Or did it signify something far more profound, a loss of knowledge or a shift in consciousness that we may never fully comprehend? As we stand among the ruins of Hagar Chim, gazing at the carefully arranged stone blocks and the sky beyond, it's impossible not to feel the weight of history. The megalithic temples of Malta speak of a time long past, a civilization that knew how to work with the land and the stars, but one that remains almost completely unknown to us. What were they truly trying to achieve? Was it simply religious devotion, or was there something more at play, something hidden in the stones and the alignment of the temples with celestial events? The mystery of the megalithic temples of Malta is one that has persisted for centuries, and it's a puzzle that may never be fully solved. But perhaps that's part of the allure. The stones that stand before us are more than just remnants of a lost civilization. They are fragments of a mystery that still beckons us to look closer, to dig deeper, and to question what we know about the origins of humanity and the forces that shaped our world. As the sun sets over the temples, casting long shadows across the ancient stones, the question remains: what secrets still lie hidden in the megalithic ruins of Malta, waiting to be discovered, waiting to rewrite our understanding of the ancient world? And will we ever be able to truly understand the purpose behind these awe-inspiring structures? Or will they remain forever veiled in the mists of time? Nestled in the misty hills of Zhejiang province in eastern China lies a subterranean marvel that continues to baffle archaeologists and researchers: the Longyou caves. These vast, intricate chambers, with their smooth, carved stone walls, create an atmosphere of both wonder and unease. Situated in a region of China rich in history, the caves were discovered only in 1992, yet they immediately sparked intense curiosity. How could something so complex, so monumental, have remained hidden for so long? And more importantly, who built them? The Longyou caves are not natural formations. They are man-made, a series of connected chambers and tunnels carved deep into the earth. Their construction is unlike anything we have seen in other ancient civilizations. The walls are smooth and symmetrical, devoid of the roughness that one might expect from a primitive excavation. The tunnels and chambers are vast, some as large as a football field, while others are perfectly shaped, like rooms that could have been designed for use, with remarkably high ceilings that rise to over 30 feet. The floors are level, with drains running to direct water out of the caves, revealing a sophisticated understanding of engineering and hydraulics. What makes the Longyou caves even more remarkable is their sheer scale. The number of chambers discovered so far is astonishing, 36 in total, though some estimates suggest there could be many more yet to be uncovered. The caves stretch over an area of nearly 30,000 square meters, but curiously, no significant historical records exist regarding their construction. While the cave's discovery was relatively recent, there is still no concrete evidence to explain how, when, or why they were built. The mainstream narrative suggests that the Longyou caves were constructed during the Tang dynasty, sometime between the 5th and 8th centuries CE. This theory posits that the caves were created for the purpose of water storage, perhaps as reservoirs or for agricultural use, due to the region's reliance on irrigation. However, these explanations only scratch the surface of the enigma. The smoothness of the walls, the precision of the carvings, and the uniformity of the tunnels and chambers suggest a level of craftsmanship that seems to surpass the technological capabilities of the time. How could a society with primitive tools have accomplished such an architectural feat? And why did they go to such great lengths to carve these vast subterranean spaces far below the surface? Even more perplexing is the fact that no inscriptions, artifacts, or other tangible clues have been found inside the caves. No pottery or ancient tools have been uncovered, which is unusual for a site of this scale and complexity. The lack of any cultural or material evidence raises more questions than it answers. Could the caves have been built long before the Tang dynasty? Could they belong to a civilization that existed far earlier, perhaps even before recorded history? Some have speculated that the Longyou caves could date back to the distant past, before the rise of known Chinese dynasties, when ancient peoples may have possessed knowledge and skills that we can only dream of today. Further adding to the mystery, the method of construction itself remains a subject of intense speculation. How were these enormous chambers excavated with such precision? The walls of the caves show no signs of traditional chiseling or hammering. Instead, they have a smoothness that suggests some kind of advanced technique, perhaps an unknown form of drilling or even a method of carving the stone that we have lost over time. The cuts are so fine and uniform that modern-day engineers have had difficulty reproducing them, despite using the most advanced tools available. Some fringe theories have proposed that the caves were built by an unknown civilization with technology far beyond what was available in ancient China, possibly suggesting a lost, pre-flood culture. This theory is based on the idea that ancient civilizations might have possessed advanced knowledge that has been obscured by the passage of time and the destruction caused by natural disasters. Could the Longyou caves be remnants of such a forgotten age? Could they represent the work of a society that mastered construction techniques so advanced that we have yet to rediscover them? Others have suggested that the caves might have been used for religious purposes. The precision of the tunnels and chambers, the complete lack of any decorative elements, and the high ceilings suggest that these spaces may have been designed for large congregations or ceremonies. Some theorists point to the alignment of certain chambers within the caves, suggesting that they may have been constructed with specific astronomical or cosmic events in mind. Could the caves have served as a place for worship or astronomical observation, perhaps even functioning as a portal between the physical and spiritual worlds? Despite the vast amount of speculation, the Longyou caves remain a profound mystery. To this day, no one knows who constructed them, how they were built, or what their true purpose might have been. Some of the most compelling questions remain unanswered. Why would an ancient civilization go to such extraordinary lengths to build such enormous underground spaces, and why did they seemingly abandon them with no trace? Were these caves meant to be temporary structures, or were they intended to serve a long-lasting function that we have yet to comprehend? There are no easy answers. Theories abound, but concrete evidence is still lacking. Some suggest that the caves were used for ritualistic or ceremonial purposes, while others believe they were created for utilitarian reasons, such as water storage or defensive shelter. Could they have been part of a larger underground network of tunnels, perhaps stretching beneath the surface of China, connecting distant regions in an intricate, lost system of underground cities? But perhaps the most unsettling possibility is that the caves represent a deeper mystery, one that challenges our understanding of ancient human capabilities and the knowledge that might have been lost over time. Could the Longyou caves hold the key to understanding an ancient civilization that existed long before recorded history? Or are they simply the remnants of an enigmatic society whose knowledge, tools, and methods were so far ahead of their time that they have been lost to us forever? As we stand at the entrance to these vast, hollow chambers, gazing into the shadowy depths of the Longyou caves, it's impossible not to feel a sense of awe and curiosity. The stone walls seem to whisper of a forgotten time, of people who worked the earth with a mastery that still eludes us. What secrets remain locked within the smooth, silent corridors of these ancient caves? What knowledge, perhaps, still waits to be uncovered, buried beneath the layers of time, just out of reach? The Longyou caves may be one of the greatest archaeological enigmas of our time, a testament to the fact that there are still wonders out there, hidden beneath our feet, waiting to be discovered. The questions surrounding their origins and purpose continue to linger, unresolved, leaving us to wonder, what ancient truths do these subterranean chambers hold, and will we ever uncover them? Nestled high in the Andes Mountains, hidden in the remote valley of the Rio Mosna in Peru, lies a monumental site that continues to challenge our understanding of ancient civilizations, Chavín de Huántar. This sprawling complex, thought to have been a major religious and cultural hub during the pre-Columbian period, is both a marvel of architecture and a puzzle that remains unsolved. The site, which flourished around 3,000 years ago, is marked by intricate stone carvings, underground passages, and structures that seem to defy the technological capabilities of its time. Yet, despite extensive research and excavation, much about Chavín de Huántar still eludes explanation. At first glance, the site is awe-inspiring. Stone temples rise from the earth, their weathered surfaces etched with symbols that seem to belong to a lost language or an ancient code. The main temple, a vast, labyrinthine structure, sits atop a hill overlooking the surrounding valley. The massive megalithic blocks that make up its walls are precisely cut and fit together with astonishing accuracy, without the use of mortar, suggesting a level of craftsmanship that seems far beyond the capabilities of a society that had not yet developed metal tools. The labyrinth-like passages within the temple twist and turn, leading visitors into dark, echoing chambers, while towering stone carvings of human-animal hybrids and abstract symbols adorn the walls. What is perhaps most intriguing about Chavín de Huántar is the sense of mystery that surrounds it. While it is known that the site was a religious center, the true nature of the rituals performed there remains a matter of debate. Some scholars believe that Chavín de Huántar was a pilgrimage site, drawing people from all corners of the ancient world for ceremonies and religious worship. The layout of the temple, with its maze-like corridors and hidden rooms, suggests that it was a place of initiation, where followers underwent symbolic journeys into the underworld or into altered states of consciousness. The most famous artifact from the site, the so-called Longyou, is a colossal stone sculpture of a jaguar-headed deity, which some believe represents a powerful shamanic figure. But what exactly was the function of these elaborate structures and the strange carvings that adorn them? Some of the most curious features of Chavín de Huántar are the underground galleries and the extensive network of drainage systems. The site seems to have been designed to harness water, with channels and pipes that guide water through the temple complex. Some have speculated that the use of water played a central role in the site's rituals, perhaps symbolizing purification, fertility, or a connection to the divine. Water may have been seen as a conduit between the physical and spiritual worlds, and the manipulation of water within the temple's design could have been intended to create a sensory experience that enhanced the religious ceremonies held there. Yet, despite these insights, the precise nature of Chavín de Huántar's spiritual practices remains elusive. The site's sophisticated acoustics, which amplify sound within the temple and echo through the corridors, have led to further speculation. Could the complex's design have been intended to create a hallucinatory experience for those who entered? Some theorists have suggested that the priests of Chavín de Huántar used powerful hallucinogens, such as the San Pedro cactus, to induce altered states of consciousness in worshippers, while the echoes within the temple amplified the effects of the drugs. The intricate carvings, with their swirling patterns and distorted faces, may have been representations of visions experienced during these rituals. The question of how such a complex, technologically advanced site could have been built remains unanswered. Chavín de Huántar predates the rise of the Inca Empire by more than a millennium, and its construction seems to surpass the capabilities of any known civilization of the time. How could a society without metal tools, writing, or advanced technology have constructed such an intricate site? And how did they carve the massive stones that make up the temple's structure, some of which weigh several tons? It is a mystery that has led some to suggest that the builders of Chavín de Huántar may have had access to lost or forgotten technologies, perhaps even a form of knowledge that was passed down from an earlier, unknown civilization. One of the most compelling and perplexing aspects of Chavín de Huántar is the influence it seems to have had on other cultures in the region. The Chavín culture, named after the site, was one of the earliest and most influential cultures in the Andean highlands, and its artistic and architectural styles spread far beyond the site itself. The distinctive motifs and iconography of Chavín de Huántar can be found in numerous other archaeological sites in Peru, Ecuador, and northern Chile. This suggests that the site was not only a local religious center, but also a symbol of cultural and spiritual authority that transcended regional boundaries. But the spread of Chavín's influence raises further questions. Why did this culture disappear so suddenly? The site was abandoned around 500 BCE, and by the time the Inca Empire rose to prominence more than 1,000 years later, Chavín de Huántar had long been forgotten. The reasons for the decline of the Chavín culture remain unclear. Was it a result of environmental factors, such as climate change or resource depletion? Or did the society experience a cultural or political collapse that led to the abandonment of their sacred center? What happened to the people who once inhabited this mysterious site, and what caused the cessation of their influence? Beyond the historical questions, there are also more speculative theories that attempt to explain the mystery of Chavín de Huántar. Some have suggested that the site could be a remnant of a far older civilization, one that predates the known history of the Andes by millennia. Could the people who built Chavín de Huántar have possessed knowledge that has been lost to time, a knowledge that was passed down through oral traditions or encoded in the site's carvings? Some proponents of alternative theories suggest that Chavín de Huántar could have been a site of astronomical significance, with its alignments and carvings representing a form of celestial knowledge that was passed on from a much earlier, perhaps even extraterrestrial civilization. The absence of definitive answers only adds to the allure of Chavín de Huántar. Its stone carvings, labyrinthine passages, and the echoes of ancient rituals invite us to speculate about the mysteries that remain hidden within the site's walls. The question of who built Chavín de Huántar, how they did so, and why it was abandoned still lingers. Perhaps, as new technologies and methods of excavation are developed, more clues will emerge. Until then, Chavín de Huántar remains an enigma, a testament to the power of ancient civilizations and the mysteries that still lie beneath the surface of our understanding. What knowledge lies buried beneath the stone, and what truths are encoded in the intricate designs of the site's carvings? Could it be that the people of Chavín de Huántar were privy to secrets that remain lost to history? Or perhaps the mysteries of this ancient site are meant to remain forever hidden, as a reminder of the deep and complex past from which we have come. High on the Savannah plateau of southern Africa, the ancient ruins of Great Zimbabwe stand as an enigmatic testament to a once great civilization. Its towering stone walls, carefully arranged without mortar, weave a tapestry of mystery, defying conventional understanding of the engineering capabilities of ancient societies. The site spans over 1,800 acres, with structures crafted from granite blocks that fit together with such precision that not even a knife blade can slip between them. But despite centuries of exploration and study, the true story of Great Zimbabwe remains obscured in the sands of time, its origins and purpose steeped in speculation. As you stand before the massive walls of the Great Enclosure, the largest single ancient structure within the site, you can feel the weight of history pressing down. The walls, some towering over 30 feet high, curve in a sweeping, almost serpentine fashion, giving the structure a sense of organic fluidity. The stonework here is unlike anything else in sub-Saharan Africa, built to last for centuries, even millennia. And yet, this seemingly immortal monument seems to conceal more questions than answers. The first mystery lies in the sheer scale and craftsmanship of the construction. Great Zimbabwe's origins date back to the 11th century, and it reached its zenith in the 14th and 15th centuries, during a time when the surrounding regions were still in the early stages of their cultural and technological development. How did such a society, without metal tools or advanced machinery, create such grand structures? The fact that no mortar was used, and yet the stones fit together perfectly, raises intriguing questions about the techniques employed. Could this have been the work of an advanced culture that we have yet to fully understand? Or perhaps it was the result of lost technologies, passed down through generations and eventually forgotten. For centuries, the city of Great Zimbabwe was thought to be a creation of foreign influences. Many early European explorers and scholars, unable to accept the possibility that such advanced construction could be the work of native African peoples, speculated that the site had been built by ancient Egyptians, Phoenicians, or even the Queen of Sheba. These theories, while unsupported by evidence, persisted for years, reflecting the biases and prejudices of the time. But modern archaeology has firmly established that Great Zimbabwe was indeed built by the ancestors of the Shona people, and the site is now considered one of Africa's most significant archaeological landmarks. Yet, even with this understanding, the purpose and function of Great Zimbabwe remain elusive. The city is thought to have served as the center of a powerful kingdom, perhaps a trading hub that connected the wealth of sub-Saharan Africa to the distant shores of the Indian Ocean. Evidence of long-distance trade with Arabia, India, and China has been uncovered in the form of beads, ceramics, and other foreign artifacts. The kingdom was prosperous, with its rulers controlling a vast network of trade routes that brought gold, ivory, and other precious goods to Great Zimbabwe. But what exactly made the city a center of such power? Was it the wealth of the kingdom, the influence of its rulers, or something more? Something that transcended mere material riches? The most famous feature of Great Zimbabwe is the Great Enclosure, a vast circular wall that encloses a series of smaller structures. The purpose of this wall has been the subject of much debate. Some scholars suggest it was a royal residence, a place where the rulers of the kingdom resided and conducted their affairs. Others believe it may have been a religious or ceremonial site, with the walls serving as a backdrop for rituals and rites of passage. The presence of a large conical tower inside the enclosure, which some believe may have been a symbol of the king's power, only adds to the intrigue. Its shape, reminiscent of the ancient grain silos used by the people of Great Zimbabwe, suggests a connection between agriculture, fertility, and kingship. But why build such an elaborate structure in a seemingly isolated location? The site's other remarkable feature is the stone construction itself. The Great Enclosure's walls are made from massive granite blocks, each carefully shaped and stacked to create an almost seamless structure. The craftsmanship is so precise that no mortar was needed to hold the stones in place. The stones fit together like the pieces of a giant puzzle, leaving no gaps and allowing the structure to stand the test of time. The complexity and scale of the work raise the question: how were these stones quarried and transported, and who possessed the knowledge to carry out such sophisticated construction techniques? The ancient city of Great Zimbabwe also includes the hill complex, a site that seems to have served both as a royal residence and a religious center. The layout of the site is highly strategic, with its positioning on a hilltop offering both symbolic and practical advantages. The elevated location would have provided a commanding view of the surrounding lands, a key factor for a kingdom that controlled important trade routes. But the hill complex is not merely a military outpost. Its stone platforms, terraces, and enclosures suggest that it was a place of deep cultural and religious significance. Some of the carvings found in the hill complex, including representations of birds, reptiles, and other animals, suggest that the site may have been a center for ritualistic practices, possibly involving ancestral worship or other forms of spiritual reverence. But why was the city abandoned? By the 17th century, Great Zimbabwe had fallen into ruin, its once great civilization gradually fading into obscurity. Theories about the decline of the kingdom abound, but the reasons for its abandonment remain unclear. Was it the result of environmental factors such as soil degradation or climate change? Or was it due to political instability, perhaps a series of internal conflicts that weakened the kingdom's power? Some have even suggested that a mysterious external force, such as invaders from other regions, might have been responsible for the site's fall. Yet, the true cause remains a subject of speculation, with no definitive answers. Beyond the historical and archaeological questions, there are more speculative theories that linger in the air, adding to the mystery of Great Zimbabwe. Could the site have been a center of esoteric knowledge, perhaps connected to ancient traditions of astronomy or sacred geometry? The alignment of certain structures, as well as the use of specific proportions in the design of the walls and enclosures, suggests that the builders may have had an advanced understanding of celestial patterns and cosmic symbolism. Was there a deeper metaphysical purpose behind the construction of the site, one that goes beyond mere political or economic power? And what about the origins of the people who built Great Zimbabwe? While it is clear that the site was created by the ancestors of the Shona people, there are still questions about the cultural influences that shaped their civilization. Some researchers have suggested that the builders of Great Zimbabwe may have been influenced by ancient cultures from other parts of the world, such as Egypt, Phoenicia, or even the lost civilization of Atlantis. Could there have been an ancient, transcontinental exchange of ideas and knowledge that shaped the development of the Zimbabwean kingdom? Or were the people of Great Zimbabwe simply an isolated indigenous culture that developed their own unique form of advanced knowledge? As we reflect on the monumental achievements of Great Zimbabwe, we are left with more questions than answers. The scale of the construction, the intricacy of the stonework, and the mystery surrounding the rise and fall of the kingdom all suggest that there is much more to discover. Perhaps new archaeological techniques and technologies will one day unlock the secrets of this ancient site. Until then, Great Zimbabwe remains a captivating enigma, a glimpse into a distant past that continues to inspire awe and wonder. What knowledge lies hidden within the stone walls of Great Zimbabwe? What truths are encoded in the intricate carvings and architectural designs? The questions remain unanswered. But one thing is certain. Great Zimbabwe was a place of immense significance, and its secrets, though hidden for now, may one day be revealed. Until that time comes, the mystery of this ancient megalithic wonder will continue to captivate those who seek to understand the depths of our shared human history. On the windswept islands of Orkney, off the northern coast of Scotland, a collection of ancient stone circles stands as a silent witness to a time long past. These megalithic structures, some dating back over 5,000 years, are scattered across the archipelago like a forgotten constellation of stone, each one a fragment of a much larger mystery. Their purpose and origins remain shrouded in speculation, a riddle that even modern science struggles to solve. What were these stones meant to represent? Who were the people who built them, and how did they possess the knowledge and resources to create such enduring monuments? The most famous of these stone circles is the Ring of Brodgar, a massive monument that stands at the heart of Orkney. Its 36 remaining stones, some towering over 15 feet high, form a perfect circle, while a surrounding ditch and bank add to the sense of ancient grandeur. The sheer scale of the Ring of Brodgar is awe-inspiring, but it is the mystery surrounding its construction and purpose that continues to captivate archaeologists and laypeople alike. What motivated these people to transport and erect these colossal stones, some weighing several tons, in such a deliberate and precise manner? The Ring of Brodgar is only one part of a much larger megalithic landscape in Orkney. Nearby, the Stones of Stennis, another stone circle, stands as an equally enigmatic testament to the architectural prowess of its creators. With fewer stones left standing, the site is now a skeletal echo of its former self. And yet, it too seems to hold a deeper significance. Its location, its alignment with the stars, and its relationship to other megalithic sites on the island all hint at a purpose beyond simple decoration. Some researchers suggest that the stones of Stennis, with their unique arrangement and size, may have been a kind of gateway or portal, directing the gaze of ancient observers toward certain celestial events. Was it merely a ceremonial site, or did it serve as a center for ancient astronomical observation? But these questions are not confined to Orkney alone. Across the islands, there are other megalithic monuments, standing stones, burial mounds, and causeways, all interlinked in ways that suggest a much deeper and more complex understanding of the natural world than we typically attribute to ancient societies. As with other megalithic sites, the precise knowledge needed to construct these monuments, along with the labor and resources required to transport the stones, remains elusive. How could a small, isolated society, without the wheel or advanced technology, have built such massive structures with such precision? The answer, it seems, is lost to time, buried beneath the wind and rain that have worn the stones smooth over the centuries. One of the most captivating aspects of the Orkney stone circles is their alignment with celestial bodies. Archaeologists have long speculated that these monuments were designed to track the movements of the sun, moon, and stars. The stones of Stennis, for example, align with the midsummer solstice, while the ring of Brodgar aligns with the lunar cycle. This suggests that the builders of Orkney's megalithic monuments had a sophisticated understanding of astronomy, perhaps using these sites as giant calendars or observatories to mark time and track celestial events. What did these ancient people know about the cosmos, and how did they integrate this knowledge into their daily lives? Some scholars propose that the Orkney stone circles were more than just astronomical tools. They may have also served as centers of ritual and spiritual significance. The alignment with the stars could have been symbolic, tying the earthly realm to the divine. In this view, the stones themselves may have represented cosmic forces or ancestral spirits, offering a physical connection between the human world and the heavens. But if the stones were truly meant to channel spiritual energies, what kind of rituals might have been performed here? Could the people of Orkney have been engaging in ancient practices that we no longer understand, performing rites designed to align themselves with the movements of the cosmos? Adding to the intrigue is the fact that many of these stone circles were likely used as burial sites. Within the stone circle of Stennis, archaeologists have uncovered the remains of several individuals, suggesting that the site had a dual purpose, both as a place for the living to connect with the cosmos and as a final resting place for the dead. Could it be that the dead were thought to be carried into the heavens with the movement of the stars, their souls aligned with the celestial bodies through the monuments? Or was the significance of the stones more grounded in the earth, serving as a link between the living and their ancestors buried within? The construction of these monuments also raises questions about the methods used by their builders. The stones that make up the circles of Orkney are not local to the islands. Many were transported from quarries several miles away, often across difficult terrain. How did these people, without the wheel or sophisticated transport mechanisms, move these enormous stones with such precision? Some theorists suggest that they used a system of levers and sledges to haul the stones, while others believe that water channels or wooden cranes may have been involved. Whatever the method, the effort required to build these monuments must have been immense, involving thousands of laborers over many generations. The question remains, why did they go to such lengths? There are also those who, while acknowledging the archaeological evidence, speculate that the Orkney stone circles may have served an even more mysterious purpose. Could they have been part of a larger network of megalithic sites, all connected by a hidden knowledge that spanned vast distances across ancient Europe? Some fringe theorists suggest that these monuments were not isolated creations, but were once part of a much larger system, perhaps a global network of stone circles, all aligned in ways that reveal a sophisticated understanding of the Earth's ley lines and energy fields. Was there an ancient civilization with knowledge so advanced that it left its mark on the landscape in a way that we are only beginning to comprehend? In a similar vein, some believe that the Orkney stone circles were built not just for earthly purposes, but as a means of connecting with something far greater, perhaps even with extraterrestrial forces. The precise geometry and astronomical alignments of these sites have led some to speculate that they may have been designed to communicate with beings from other worlds. Could it be that these ancient people were engaged in a form of cosmic communication, using the stones as a kind of transmitter to send messages to the stars? The idea may seem fantastical, but it adds to the ever-growing list of unanswered questions surrounding Orkney's megalithic monuments. Despite centuries of study, the mystery of the Orkney stone circles remains largely unsolved. The knowledge and understanding of the people who built them, along with their motives and methods, continue to elude us. What was the true purpose of these monumental structures? Were they astronomical observatories, ceremonial sites, or something more? And who were the people who built them? These questions are unlikely to be answered anytime soon, and perhaps that is part of the allure of Orkney itself. The island's ancient stones continue to stand as a reminder that there is much about the distant past that we may never fully understand. As we look at the stone circles of Orkney, we are left to ponder the mystery of what they truly represent. Were they simply the work of a lost civilization, or are they something more? An enduring legacy of an ancient people who, in their wisdom, built monuments that continue to speak to us across millennia? The answer may never be clear, but the mystery itself will continue to captivate those who seek to uncover the secrets of our distant ancestors. What hidden knowledge lies buried in the stones of Orkney, waiting to be discovered? Only time, and perhaps new discoveries, will tell. Nestled deep within the steamy jungles of Chiapas, Mexico, lies one of the most enigmatic and impressive sights of the ancient world, Palenque. Hidden from the world for centuries, the ruins of this once thriving city offer a fascinating glimpse into a civilization long lost to time, one whose architectural and artistic achievements continue to confound modern scholars. But what sets Palenque apart from other ancient cities? What secrets does it hold that have eluded discovery for so long? As you step onto the weathered stone pathways that wind their way through Palenque's ruins, a sense of awe settles over you. The air is thick with humidity, and the sounds of distant wildlife echo through the trees. The jungle presses in, its dense foliage almost swallowing the stone structures whole. Above you, the towering pyramids and temples stand as silent sentinels to a bygone era. The jungle's lush green blanket seems almost unnatural, as if it were purposely attempting to conceal what lies beneath it. Time has not been kind to Palenque, but the majesty of its ruins endures, whispering a tale of ancient grandeur. The city itself, now a UNESCO World Heritage Site, was once a powerful center of the Maya civilization, flourishing between 600 and 800 AD. At its peak, Palenque was a vibrant, sophisticated metropolis with a population of thousands. Yet, despite its importance in Maya history, much of the city remains shrouded in mystery, and many questions persist about its origins and the reasons behind its sudden decline. The most iconic structure at Palenque is the Temple of the Inscriptions, a pyramid-shaped monument that rises above the surrounding jungle. The temple is renowned not only for its imposing presence, but also for the extraordinary discovery made within it. In 1952, Mexican archaeologist Alberto Ruz Luillier uncovered a hidden tomb beneath the temple's floor. Inside, he found the remains of Pakal the Great, the ruler of Palenque from 615 to 683 AD. But it was not just the tomb that captured the world's attention. It was the stone sarcophagus itself. Carved into the lid of the sarcophagus is a remarkable depiction of Pakal lying in what appears to be a spacecraft soaring through the heavens. The image, which has been interpreted by some as a depiction of Pakal in a cosmic journey, has sparked debates among scholars and enthusiasts alike. Was this a symbolic representation of the king's journey into the afterlife? Or was there something more to it? Could this be evidence of ancient knowledge far ahead of its time? Knowledge that could have been passed down from an ancient, unknown civilization, or perhaps even extraterrestrial visitors? Mainstream scholars typically argue that the imagery represents Pakal's descent into the underworld, a key theme in Maya cosmology. However, the unusual nature of the carving has given rise to more speculative theories. Some claim that the depiction could represent a technological device, perhaps a spacecraft, with Pakal at the helm. This theory, while not widely accepted by archaeologists, has gained a significant following among those who question the conventional narrative of ancient history. The fact that the sarcophagus lid was so intricately carved and its symbolism so striking only adds to the mystery. What is clear is that Pakal's reign was one of immense importance to the people of Palenque. Under his leadership, the city experienced a cultural and architectural renaissance, and it was during his rule that many of Palenque's most significant structures were built. But what motivated such an ambitious building program? Was it simply a desire to immortalize the king? Or was there a deeper, more cosmic significance to the city's architecture? Beyond the tomb of Pakal, Palenque is home to several other awe-inspiring structures that raise intriguing questions about the knowledge and skills of its builders. The palace, with its sprawling complex of rooms and corridors, features a rooftop temple, an unusual feature for Maya architecture. The temple's placement atop the palace hints at the possibility of astronomical or ritualistic significance, but its exact purpose remains elusive. Was it a place for the elite to commune with the gods? Or was it something more? Perhaps a place where the Maya sought to align themselves with the cosmos, using their advanced understanding of the stars and planets. Then there is the Temple of the Cross, a structure that stands as a testament to the Maya's sophisticated understanding of the heavens. The temple is aligned with the sun, and its carvings depict scenes of divine kingship and cosmic power. The temple's symbolic role in Maya cosmology is undeniable, but the specifics of its alignment and its connection to the larger city plan remain a source of speculation. Could this temple have been part of a larger astronomical observatory designed to track celestial events with pinpoint accuracy? Or was it a symbol of the Maya's belief in the connection between the earthly and the divine? In the heart of Palenque, one also encounters the Palace of the Governor, a structure whose architectural layout has puzzled researchers for decades. With its elaborate series of rooms and stairways, the palace is a marvel of Maya engineering, but its exact function is still a subject of debate. Was it simply a royal residence? Or did it serve a more complex role within the city's political and spiritual framework? Some suggest that it may have been a center for astronomical observations, a place where rulers and priests could connect with the gods through the study of the stars. Despite decades of research and excavation, much of Palenque's history remains a mystery. The city's sudden decline, which occurred around the time of Pakal's death, is another source of intrigue. Why did such a powerful and sophisticated city, with its incredible architecture and advanced knowledge, fade into obscurity? Was it a result of internal strife, environmental factors, or a combination of both? Some even speculate that the fall of Palenque was part of a larger, global collapse of ancient civilizations, with the city's abandonment marking the end of an era of human achievement. The Maya collapse remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of pre-Columbian history, and Palenque is at the heart of this enigma. As we peer into the ruins of Palenque, it is impossible not to feel a sense of wonder at what has been lost to time. What did the Maya know that we have yet to uncover? Could their achievements, their understanding of the cosmos, and their spiritual practices hold the key to unraveling mysteries that have baffled us for centuries? And what about the unexplained aspects of their civilization, like the intricately carved sarcophagus of Caral and the potential astronomical knowledge embedded in the city's architecture? Might these hold clues to a lost chapter of history, one that could alter our understanding of the ancient world forever? Palenque's mysteries are not just historical curiosities. They are a reflection of the larger, unresolved questions that persist in the study of ancient civilizations. What other cities like Palenque might lie hidden beneath the jungle, waiting to reveal their secrets? And what other ancient wonders could rewrite our understanding of human history? As we continue to explore the ruins and the artifacts that have survived, one thing is certain. Palenque, like many ancient sites, holds more than just the remains of a forgotten civilization. It holds the promise of discovery, of mysteries that may still be waiting to be unlocked. And perhaps just as the jungle slowly reclaims what we know, it is also hiding what we have yet to find. The search continues, and as we uncover more of Palenque's hidden past, we must ask ourselves, what is the true legacy of the Maya, and how much of their story remains concealed in the dense, unyielding jungle? The answers are out there, waiting to be discovered. As we continue our exploration of ancient sites that may have been built long before recorded history, we now turn our attention to a place that has fundamentally reshaped our understanding of the dawn of human civilization. Deep in the southeastern Anatolian region of Turkey, beneath layers of earth and time, lies a site that defies conventional wisdom. Göbekli Tepe, the world's first known temple, and a structure so ancient that it predates Stonehenge by over 6,000 years. Göbekli Tepe, which means Potbelly Hill in Turkish, sits atop a high ridge overlooking the Mesopotamian plains. The site was first discovered in the 1990s, but it wasn't until the excavation work began in earnest that its true significance began to emerge. What the archaeologists uncovered was nothing short of revolutionary. Massive stone pillars, arranged in circles, many weighing several tons, adorned with intricate carvings of animals and abstract symbols, and all dating back to around 9600 BCE, an astonishing 12,000 years ago. This is long before the rise of agriculture, long before the first cities, and long before the civilizations that we typically associate with monumental architecture. As you approach Göbekli Tepe, you immediately sense that you are standing on sacred ground. The landscape around you is vast, yet the site itself feels almost otherworldly, as though it was designed to be a place apart, a space dedicated to something much greater than mere survival or commerce. The massive stone pillars, arranged in circles and enclosures, form an imposing presence, rising from the earth like the remnants of a forgotten temple to the gods. Some pillars are decorated with carvings of animals, including lions, snakes, and scorpions, creatures that seem to hold symbolic significance. Others are covered in abstract geometric patterns, suggesting that the builders were working with a sophisticated understanding of symbols and cosmology. At first glance, Göbekli Tepe's purpose seems clear. It was a place of worship, a sanctuary for the people who built it. But as archaeologists delve deeper into the site's mysteries, questions continue to mount. How could a society of hunter-gatherers with no known knowledge of agriculture have built such a complex and monumental structure? What tools did they have, and how did they transport these enormous stones across the rugged terrain? And most tantalizing of all, why was it built and then intentionally buried, perhaps even as part of a ritual? The answers to these questions are elusive, but the more we learn, the more intriguing Göbekli Tepe becomes. As archaeologists and researchers continue to excavate and study the site, they are finding that Göbekli Tepe is not just a temple, it's a puzzle, a mystery, a glimpse into a distant and forgotten world. And with every new discovery, the more it seems to challenge our preconceived ideas about human history. For many years, the prevailing theory in archaeology was that the first signs of complex human societies emerged alongside the advent of agriculture, when humans began to settle in one place, cultivate crops, and form permanent communities. It was assumed that the building of monumental structures like Stonehenge or the Great Pyramids of Egypt required a settled, organized society, one that had the time, resources, and social infrastructure to support such endeavors. But Göbekli Tepe throws this theory into question. This ancient site was built by people who, it seems, had no need for agriculture. They were hunter-gatherers, living off the land in a way that seems to contradict everything we know about the development of early civilizations. Some researchers have speculated that the builders of Göbekli Tepe were motivated by a profound need for spiritual expression, something that transcended the material world. The idea of a hunter-gatherer society creating such a complex religious site raises questions about the spiritual lives of these ancient people. Was the construction of Göbekli Tepe a way for them to connect with forces beyond their understanding, to communicate with the divine or the cosmos? The carvings on the pillars certainly suggest a deep symbolism tied to the natural world, with animals and other motifs appearing repeatedly across the site. Could these creatures have represented different aspects of the divine or the forces of nature? Was this site a place of ritual, a sacred space where humans sought to understand their place in the universe? As scholars continue to examine the site, theories have emerged that suggest Göbekli Tepe may have been more than just a place of worship. Some have proposed that it could have served as a kind of early astronomical observatory. The alignment of the stone circles with the movements of the stars and celestial bodies raises intriguing questions about the role of the heavens in the lives of these ancient people. Could Göbekli Tepe have been a place where early humans observed the stars, tracked the movements of the planets, and used this knowledge for purposes beyond the religious or spiritual? Was this site a way of connecting the earthly realm with the divine, a means of tapping into cosmic forces to influence the world below? Another mysterious aspect of Göbekli Tepe is the fact that, after it was built, the entire site was deliberately buried. Archaeologists have found evidence that the people who built it intentionally filled the enclosures with earth and rubble, covering the pillars and carvings with a layer of soil. Why would they go to such great lengths to bury a site that had taken so much effort to create? Some have suggested that the site was abandoned for reasons unknown, and that the burial was a way to preserve it, to hide it from future generations. Others have proposed that the burial was part of a larger ritualistic process, perhaps a kind of sacred ending, marking the completion of the temple or the end of its purpose. Could the burial of Göbekli Tepe signify the end of an era, the closing of a chapter in human history? Was it a response to a cataclysmic event, such as a great flood, that many ancient cultures speak of in their mythologies? Could the builders of the site have been preparing for some kind of disaster, whether natural or cultural, and buried their sacred site as a way of preserving it for future generations? One of the most fascinating aspects of Göbekli Tepe is the mystery of who exactly built it. Some have suggested that the builders were a lost civilization, perhaps a highly advanced society that predates any known ancient culture. Could they have been the survivors of a cataclysmic event that reshaped the world? Or were they simply a group of exceptionally gifted hunter-gatherers who possessed knowledge and skills far beyond what we would expect from their time? The complexity and scale of the site imply a level of organization, planning, and expertise that would have been extraordinary for a society that did not yet have written language or advanced tools. It's also worth considering that Göbekli Tepe may not have been the work of one group, but a culmination of efforts from multiple cultures or peoples over generations. The site's construction could have spanned hundreds or even thousands of years, with each generation adding to the temple complex, contributing their own ideas and technologies to its design. This raises the question: was Göbekli Tepe the product of an evolving, interconnected network of ancient civilizations, a place where knowledge and ideas were passed down and transformed over time? While we may never know the full story of Göbekli Tepe, one thing is certain: it challenges our understanding of ancient history and forces us to reconsider the origins of human civilization. The mysteries surrounding the site continue to fascinate and inspire researchers and historians, and with each new discovery, we come closer to understanding the true significance of this remarkable temple. As we step back and contemplate the mysteries of Göbekli Tepe, we are left with a haunting question. What did the builders of this ancient temple know that we have yet to understand? What knowledge, secrets, or truths are hidden beneath the layers of earth and time, waiting to be uncovered? The answers may lie in the stones themselves, carved with symbols that speak to a deeper connection between humanity and the cosmos, a connection that we have yet to fully comprehend. And perhaps, as we continue to search for answers, the mystery of Göbekli Tepe will eventually reveal something even greater than we ever imagined. On the windswept Isle of Lewis, in Scotland's Outer Hebrides, a remarkable and ancient collection of stones rises from the earth like sentinels guarding a long-forgotten secret. The Callanish stones, a megalithic complex thought to have been constructed around 5,000 years ago, command attention with their size, arrangement, and eerie stillness. Here, a circle of upright stones, some over 13 feet tall, stretches across the landscape, casting long shadows in the soft light of dawn and dusk. Surrounding this central circle are additional stone rows, forming intricate patterns that, to this day, baffle archaeologists, historians, and those with a keen sense of wonder. The Callanish stones, like other ancient megalithic sites across the globe, seem to echo a time when humanity's relationship with the natural world was deeply intertwined with mystery and symbolism. The stones are not just mere relics. They stand as markers of something far more profound, a glimpse into a distant past that modern science has yet to fully understand. Who were the people who erected these massive stones? And what knowledge did they possess? Why did they take the time and effort to transport and position such enormous rocks across a harsh and unforgiving landscape? Standing before the stones, one cannot help but be struck by the way they seem to align with the natural elements. The arrangement of the stones in a cruciform pattern, with a central circle and 4 radial lines, points toward the 4 cardinal directions, which immediately suggests some kind of symbolic or astronomical significance. The stones are positioned with precision, and many have long believed that their placement corresponds to key points in the solar and lunar cycles. But to what end? Was it a place for ritualistic observation of celestial bodies? Was it a site where early humans gathered to mark the passage of time or to align themselves with the cosmos in a way that we are only beginning to understand? Though we have many theories, the true purpose of the Callanish stones remains elusive. Unlike the more famous Stonehenge in England, which has been the subject of extensive archaeological study, the Callanish stones have not been studied to the same degree, leaving room for questions and speculation. One of the most intriguing aspects of Callanish is its isolated location. Why, in a time when communities were generally centered around practical needs such as farming and trade, would a group choose to build such a monument in a remote and desolate area? Were they trying to connect with something far beyond the earth, perhaps reaching out toward the heavens? Or could it be that this site, like many other megalithic structures, had a more practical function, perhaps as a center for the measurement of time, a calendar that marked the changing of the seasons or the positioning of stars? The Callanish stones are part of a wider pattern of megalithic sites found across the British Isles and Europe, all of which seem to reflect an advanced understanding of the cosmos. Stone circles, dolmens, and other megalithic structures share certain characteristics: precise alignments, intentional placements, and a striking symmetry that suggests these ancient cultures possessed knowledge that we still struggle to comprehend. Could the builders of the Kallanish stones have been part of a wider network of ancient peoples, all linked by a shared knowledge of astronomy, geometry, and perhaps even energy? Or were these monuments created independently, the product of different cultures seeking similar answers to similar questions? Some researchers have proposed that the stones were used as astronomical observatories, marking key points in the lunar and solar cycles. The layout of the stones seems to suggest an intention to track the movements of the sun, especially at certain key times of the year, perhaps the solstices and equinoxes. If this is the case, then the site may have been a place for early humans to gather and witness celestial events, marking the passage of time in a world where the understanding of natural cycles was essential for survival. But this raises further questions. What did these early peoples believe about the stars, the sun, and the moon? Did they see these celestial bodies as gods, as symbols of power, or as markers of destiny? Theories abound about the symbolism embedded within the arrangement of the stones themselves. Some researchers suggest that the cruciform shape of the stone circle may represent the idea of the four cardinal directions, with each line pointing to a significant point on the horizon. This could have been symbolic, representing a connection between the earth and the heavens. The stone rows that radiate from the central circle could have been used to track the movements of celestial bodies across the sky. Other theories suggest that the stones represent the axis mundi, or the world axis, an ancient concept of a cosmic center that connects the heavens, earth, and the underworld. If this was the intention behind the arrangement, it would indicate a belief in a spiritual or metaphysical connection between the natural world and the cosmos. Adding to the enigma of the site is the fact that many of the stones at Kallanish are made of Lewisian gneiss, a rock found only in the nearby hills, raising questions about how these massive stones were transported across the landscape. The task of moving such enormous boulders would have been monumental, even with the most basic tools. How did these people, who had no advanced technology or machinery, manage to move and position these stones with such precision? Some have suggested that they may have used rudimentary sledges and ropes, or perhaps even a system of rollers. Others have speculated that they could have employed an ancient form of knowledge or technology lost to time, something we are not yet capable of understanding. Further fueling the mystery is the fact that the Kallanish stones were not the only megalithic site on the Isle of Lewis. Just a few miles away at the village of Kallanish, another set of standing stones lies waiting to be explored. This site, smaller but no less intriguing, also raises questions about the motivations behind these megalithic constructions. Were the two sites linked, perhaps as part of a larger ceremonial complex? Were they used for different purposes? One for astronomical observation, the other for ritualistic practice? Or were they part of an even greater, interconnected network of megalithic sites that spanned the landscape, all connected through shared rituals and cosmic beliefs? One theory that has emerged in recent years suggests that the Kallanish stones were part of a larger system of knowledge that may have been passed down through an ancient, advanced civilization. This civilization, according to some fringe theorists, may have had access to knowledge and technology far beyond what is generally attributed to ancient cultures. Were these people able to harness energy from the earth, using the stones as a form of energy grid? Did they have a deeper understanding of geomagnetic forces, ley lines, or other natural energies that allowed them to build structures capable of harnessing these forces? Could the placement of the stones have been designed not just for ritualistic or astronomical purposes, but to tap into hidden powers in the landscape itself? This theory, though speculative, speaks to a larger and ongoing debate about the extent of ancient knowledge. As with other megalithic sites around the world, The Callanish stones remain a tantalizing puzzle, one that raises more questions than it answers. How did these ancient people come to possess such intricate knowledge of the earth, the sky, and the forces that bind them together? What did they hope to accomplish by building these massive structures, and how did they believe their actions might connect them to the universe? As we stand before the Callanish stones today, in the fading light of dusk or the soft rays of dawn, we are reminded that these stones are more than just relics of the past. They are part of a much larger mystery, a mystery that continues to defy explanation and invites us to wonder. What was the true purpose of the Callanish stones? What secrets do they hold, and what ancient wisdom might still be hidden in their shadows? The answers may be lost to history, but the stones themselves continue to stand as silent witnesses to a time when the line between the earth and the heavens was not so clearly defined. The mystery of Callanish, like so many ancient sites, remains unsolved, but it is a mystery that still calls to us, urging us to look closer, to listen more carefully, and to seek out what lies hidden in the stones.